We begin this broadcast by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which this match will be played today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening.
Boy, we're going to have some fun.
The AFL in 2026 on ABC Sport.
And the siren sound. Here we go. Listen to the roar. It is showtime.
Well, take a seat, because it don't get better than this.
Right to the goal line. Jamie Elliott, the man who gravity forgot.
That's why we love AFL football.
On ABC Sport, this is the AFL.
Sit back, relax, witness the greatest. It don't get better than this.
From 45 and rides it all the way home.
An ambitious effort. Unbelievable.
The left foot is a goal. Oh, yeah.
Take a seat, because it don't get better than this.
Throws it, kicks off goal. The prancing Cody.
What a goal.
He's off and running from 45 to get the party started.
Take a seat, because it don't get better than this.
It's bouncing, it's through. Bailey Smith, he'll want the cameras on him right now.
Not camera action, baby. Countdown to contact.
Spins around and buries it. Loads up from 55. That's a monster bomb.
40 metres out, snaps towards goal. What a beautiful finish.
Bacon goes where? Goes for glory.
He eyes the goals and sends it home.
100% pure footy. Every minute of every match, all season long.
Gathers, snaps, goal.
It's just football at its best.
Take a seat, because it don't get better than this.
Kick on goal, dribbles it through. What about that? Took them all on and said, I'll have some of this.
Bailey pinches his pocket and bang, bang, bang. That's the price you pay against the Premier.
Watson snaps. Oh, Watson puts it through. And the Wizard arrives precisely on time. He's built for the big stage. On his left boot, his kick is good.
AFL.
Inside 50, off a step, turns and goes bang. And snap.
And goal.
There's some bravery through the middle of the ground.
How good is that? What a goal. He wastes no time. He whacks it through for another. It doesn't have to be your night, but it can be your moment. Hands it to Charlie Cameron. He can walk it in. Show him your tail lights, Charlie.
Welcome to ABC Sports coverage of the 2026 AFL Premiership season.
Runs the 50 out. What a way to finish.
Take a seat, because it don't get better than this.
On radio
ABC Sport Digital Radio.
and ABC Listen.
Yeah, take a seat, because it don't get better than this.
It's an exceptional day for Australian rules at its heartland, the MCG, when Richmond hosts Port Adelaide this afternoon. Clear skies and a crisp day on this Easter long weekend as the Tigers are still on the prowl for their first win of the season after a month of footy. The Power are looking to make amends after dropping a game they should have won against West Coast on their home deck at Adelaide Oval last week. In good news, though, for Port fans, they've won the past 5 matches against Richmond by an average of 37 points as Brownlow medalist Ollie Wines is recalled back into the team. Today will provide the perfect test to get a little gauge of where these two sides will fit in amongst the 18 this year. My name's Lauren Borden. It's wonderful to be with you on this beautiful crisp autumn day in Melbourne. It's about 19 degrees at the MCG for the final day of daylight saving before we wind back the clocks tomorrow morning. But just a beautiful day here. Not a great large crowd that's come in for Richmond against Port Adelaide at the moment, but we're still about 45 minutes or so away from the very first bounce at the G. It's a pleasure to be sitting alongside Joel Peterson to call all the action today. Hello to you, Joel.
G'day, Loz. Yeah, it's a beautiful day here at the G, and these two teams, it feels like we don't quite know exactly where they sit at the moment, particularly Port Adelaide, of course. Really disappointing in round one, then they beat Essendon. What exactly that has in terms of value is sort of remains to be seen. And then they go down last week to West Coast, got out to a fast start and got reeled back in. So exactly what they can deliver today against a Richmond team that is 0-3, but clearly on the build and chocked with young talent. This will be interesting to see them go toe-to-toe.
In the back row, our experts, Joel, sitting alongside us at Essendon Premiership player Adam Rabanauskas and two-time All-Australian Chad Wingard. Rama, how are you?
Yes, very excited. Happy Easter to everybody. It is a beautiful sunbathed MCG. It is a bit sparse, though, the crowd at the moment, so hopefully there's a few more Tiger supporters
coming in shortly. But they've been disappointing, the Tigers, the last couple of weeks. Some big losses. And Port Adelaide certainly let one slip last week.
And Chad, great to see you as well here.
Yes, great to be here. So I was probably one of the old faithfuls of Port Adelaide, a bit hard on them last couple of weeks. So I'm excited to see them as a past player just bounce back. I'm excited to see hopefully the superstars of Port Adelaide stand up again. Looking for a Butters, obviously without Rosie and Wally Wine's coming back into the side. It'll be interesting to see how many minutes he plays and I suppose how much midfield minutes he plays as well. So I'm excited to see that.
We've got injured Richmond captain Toby Nankervis to join us in just a moment as we start our show and as Richmond's out there warming up on the MCG at the moment. Ray Chamberlain will be roaming around on the boundary as he always does on a Saturday, and we'll check in with Port Adelaide as well. As always, like you've been doing and chatting with Corbett and Ben with your correspondence, keep texting through on 0437 774 774.
We've just got to keep Ray away from the stock market. I've got a feeling he's watching the price of Brent crude throughout the course of the afternoon now that he's in his real oil baron phase. So we'll just try and get Ray to straighten up and stick to the footy.
There's many facets to Ray, isn't there? He showed us.
Oh,
yes.
You'll learn today. Don't worry. This is your first experience, I think, with Ray, and it can go to many, many, many places.
All right, you're in charge of keeping him in line, Rammer.
Done, easy.
So Lauren Borden, Joel Peterson, Adam Ramanaskas, Chad Wingard and Ray Chamberlain down on the boundary. But it's fantastic to have Toby Nankervis in our box. He's coming right off the top of the show. Toby, thanks for jumping in and having a chat to us.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here. I'd rather be out in the MCG.
Yep.
It's an absolute magic day out there. So, hopefully the boys can play well.
Does it make a difference when you get to the MCG and you look out and you go, geez, this is the day that you kind of almost remember, or you think back to your days, maybe playing as a junior when you get those really crisp days and you head out to the footy field?
Yeah, absolutely. You do. I think walking over today, it's almost like the finals type weather, and hopefully the fans can turn out and watch a good contest.
So I've got to start by asking, how is the hammy?
Yeah, the hammy's good. I've never done one before, and I don't get much high speed in sprints. So I'm not sure how I have done it. But it's all going well. I had another run today, and from what I can gather, I'll feel pretty good. But it's just doing all the right things, and it might be a bit slower than 5 or 6 weeks type thing. Yeah. But we'll just see how we go.
What is, I guess, the difference in the injury that makes it more long term for you?
Still learning about all that. I think it's potentially a bit of the tendon, I think, a bit higher than what a normal one is. So, that's what they're telling me, and I'll just do everything they tell me and get it right and have a big back half of the year.
So, Toby, the last 2 weeks have certainly been disappointing for the team and the club. What changes today?
Yeah, Ray Rammer, I think we've started really well. Our first halves have been really competitive against two pretty good sides in Gold Coast and Fremantle. It's just about maintaining that for longer. We know against the best sides we need to play 4 quarters and be ultra consistent in our system and the way we play. So hopefully we can do that today. And no doubt the start's very important. I think Port Adelaide will definitely come out and be red hot early on, and we need to match that and hopefully play for a bit longer today.
So we're seeing the team develop before our eyes. Obviously, there's so many young players for the Richmond fans to be excited about. You as an older player, Nathan Broad as an older player, Jaden Short as an older player, and there's probably some of them missing as well. What's been sold to you about when it starts to really becoming a more competitive team? Competitive is probably not the right word. More a team that's pushing up the ladder quicker.
Yeah, I think for me personally and externally, it's probably different with those expectations. But I want to win now, and we're not happy with honourable losses or good efforts. I think we want to win. That's the industry we're in, and we're in a rush. We're not patient as footballers, as you know. As athletes, we want to win straight away. So, and those guys that you just mentioned, the younger boys, they're in a rush too. They want to win straight away. They're ultra competitive, and I've been so impressed. And they're developing right before our eyes. And as older players, it's about performing as best we can, and setting him up throughout the week.
Toby, Chad here, mate. Hope you're going well. I wanted to ask you, because you haven't been in rehab much in your career, but a few of the young boys are actually in rehab with you at the moment. So what have you learned from a few of the young boys, and what are you trying to, I suppose, emulate into them to try and learn to get back quicker, how to be professional? Because obviously you've got some serious talent, has been obviously on the blocks, and that doesn't help your development as a list to try and get up that ladder.
Yeah, absolutely, Chad. It's a real challenge as a younger player. You obviously clearly want to be out there, especially when you just come into the system. But yeah, those guys have been great, and it is important as a rehab group to really bounce off each other and provide each other energy and pick each other up when you're a bit flat. And I think the energy in that group's been awesome and really helping each other out. And I'm so impressed with especially Josh Smiley, the way he's attacked his rehab, and I can't wait to see him out here.
Are there one or two players, Toby, that have really caught your eye through the start of the year, especially among your younger players, that you've seen a bit of a leap from? We saw a career best game from Luke Traynor last week coming back into the team, but within the four walls, who's catching your eye?
Yeah, Taj Houghton before he went down was unbelievable. Some of the stuff he can do. I think those really powerful mids that can play forward and a good overhead are worth their weight in gold in modern footy. So really disappointed for him, but he's going to be an absolute star and he won't be too far away, hopefully.
And Toby, you just spoke about, obviously, Taj Houghton. He's one of my favourites coming through with Richmond, and he's an absolute star. In terms of, your midfield, you're a little bit older there with some of your, you got Hopper, you got Taranto. How do we kind of drip feed some of these young talents in? I know there have been a few injuries, like Lawler, for instance, Taj Houghton. What's the plans? We need to get minutes into them if you're for a Richmond faithful to obviously get up the list quicker, because they're the ones that are obviously trying to get that next premiership for Richmond.
Yeah, absolutely, Chad. And yeah, that's as you said, Sammy Lawler spent some more time in there, and Seth Campbell spent some time in there. Morris Rowley at times will go through there, and I think as a whole midfield group, we need to get better off the back of the last few years, and the ability to get out of stoppage is definitely a thing for us. We need to get better at, and those players you mentioned will definitely help us drive out of stoppage and get some cleaner looks going forward. So, yeah, hopefully we can continue that today.
I know it's a small sample size for you as a ruckman, but the centre bounce ruck rule, how have you found that? How have you worked that? Is there something that you need to do differently now as one of the premier ruckmen of the competition?
Yeah, I think it has been different. I'm so excited by it because it's a new challenge for me, and I need to get better and learn and adapt along with some other players as well. But in saying that, a few years ago, everyone was jumping at the ball. So it's probably only the last maybe 2 years that's gone away from the game. So I've got some great evidence there that I can match it with the more athletic guys, and I'm looking forward to getting back out there and working on my craft. I think as the season goes on, along as with every rule, there's going to be adjustments made and learnings throughout the season. So I'm looking forward to getting back out there and see what I can do.
You referenced those 2 years prior. Had you changed the way you rucked in the centre bounce entirely before that?
Yeah, I think the last two, with the rule, you could sort of cross the line. So a lot of guys would just start on the line and look to take away the space. My first few years, especially playing AFL, would generally be jumping at the ball more so. So I think we'd probably looking more so of back prior to that get some good evidence from.
Injured Richmond captain Toby Nankervis with us on ABC Sport. The ruck was a little bit of an issue for you last week, only the 9 hit-outs. You bring Samson Ryan in to give Campbell Bray a little bit of support today, but another player who's in your VFL at the moment is Ollie Hayes-Brown. How are you seeing his development? He's an intriguing project, former basketballer. He's been on your list for a couple of seasons now, hasn't stepped up to this level. There was an eye on when you went down whether he would be the one that comes in. How's he progressing?
Yeah, he's going really well, Ollie. He's sort of from a basketball background, and his spatial awareness with the ball, his use of hands through traffic, so special for a big guy, and that's a great strength he's got. At ground level, he's really good below his knees as well, and yeah, he's still learning it, but he's got himself in elite condition at the moment. He's super fit and strong, and he's getting better and better every week. And yeah, I'm sure he was very close last week, and him and Samson have had a great summer, so both those guys will get an opportunity, no doubt, and Samson, looking forward to seeing how he goes today.
You came into this team when it was right at the peak of its powers, and it's been obviously an interesting process to see that sort of slide away. A lot of older players depart. Now you're leading this younger group. As a captain, what's the biggest challenge for you in trying to keep the group together when you're not having the on-field success? Like, how do you approach trying to keep this thing moving in the right direction from a standards and a morale perspective?
Yeah, no, that is it's what we want to do, no doubt, but it hasn't been too hard. I think we're all super competitive. We want to win, but we know we're in it together. There's no doubt about that. We can't do it with just a few guys. We need 45 players all going in the same direction to start getting some momentum, and we're aware of that. The coaches are aware of that, and every Monday, I'm sure if you want to come into our footy club, you would know if we won by 10 goals or lost by 10 goals. There's a really ultra-consistent theme with the way we review and the way we prepare, and Uza's done a great job leading that, so I'm sure that'll hold us in good stead.
Do you look at maybe a side like North Melbourne and what they achieved yesterday? We spoke to Harry Sheasel after it, and he said at three-quarter time, I've never felt so much more like we could win it. That they're a side that has kind of come, and they're building the consistency that you're trying to build as well at the moment. So you kind of see some, I guess, comparisons there about what you can achieve as well. Obviously, it was 5 wins last season, which was more than anyone expected coming into the start of last year.
Yeah, the competition is so tight and so even. I think what we see with West Coast and the way they're playing at the moment, it's pretty cool as well. So yeah, you look around the competition, any given day, any side can beat anyone, and I think we're aware of that. And yeah, absolutely, we can see North Melbourne played really well yesterday, and I'm sure we'll come out and play well today as well.
So the boys are just about to head into the rooms now. What's your role now as we let you go?
Yeah, I'm not a great watcher. I'm not great. But, yeah, hopefully I can just get around the boys and provide as much support as I can. And I'm so keen to see Samson out there today and looking forward to him back on the big stage. So any words of advice I can give him and any support I'll give him, I can't wait for that. But I'm not a great watcher, so I'll just sit up the back of the box and, try not to get too emotional, I think.
Well, good luck today, whatever role you play. We appreciate you coming in and having a chat to us.
Thanks for having
Toby.
me. Appreciate it.
Toby, Nankervis, injured Richmond captain, joining us in the pre-match in the lead-up to Richmond and North Melbourne with the opening bounce to get underway in about half an hour's time or so. So I guess when you do look at Richmond and what they're trying to achieve this year, they haven't had the easy start to the season that a lot of those lower-ranked sides in North Melbourne and Essendon have had. So they've had some heavy losses the last couple of weeks. I mean, really almost defeated Carlton, though, in round one. So where are you kind of placing them at the moment?
I think realistically they're going to be down the bottom of the ladder. But what you want to see from them is just growth in their young players, because that's how they're going to get better. You can't expect Taranto, Hopper to carry this side. And Nankervis, as much as he's the captain, they really need some of these young guys to develop. And you think about North Melbourne and who are the players that are, like, you got Sheasel, you got Dersma, who's obviously had a really good game on the weekend. You got to rely on those next crop of lads to actually lift the side. So we saw Seth Campbell do that last year. And who's the next two or three? Is it Lawler? We saw Harley Reid do it for West Coast. You got to get these young guys some games. But that's, I think, the hard thing for Richmond is that they've had so many injuries with their young superstars and their higher draft picks last year and this year that they're just not getting them on the park to develop. So I feel sorry for Ooze from one point, because they're trying to do the right thing. Unfortunately, they just had a few injury setbacks, which is actually obviously stalling a little bit of their development so far.
Well, it's how you define wins and losses. Now, Toby spoke about, obviously, they're in a rush, they want to win, all that sort of stuff. That's terrific. But at the same time, it's to Chad's point around, well, getting games into plays at the right time when they actually deserve games and they're playing the right way. But also then what gains are they making in terms of in the gym, building their body up, on the training track, how many kilometres are they getting their legs? That's how you start to avoid injury. Now, the guys that Chad mentioned about the younger guys that are getting injured, they're simply just not ready for the physical demands to be an AFL footballer.
That was the big Sam Lawler thing, wasn't it?
That's right. That takes the time. So that's where I think any developing team goes, okay, the fans will see the win or loss on the field on the weekend, but it's the Monday to Friday of how many wins that they can keep backing up day in, day out to fast-track these kids to all play quickly as possible and be ready to contribute at a high level.
So then do you think maybe we're in a rush to win is not necessarily the wrong attitude to take? I know what Toby means when he says it, but there's possibly another attitude you can take.
Well, you look at Josh Smiley, for example. He's a pick six.
Yep.
He hasn't played a game just for Richmond because his body's still growing. He was drafted at 193. I think he's 196 or 7 now. So he's grown. He's put on size. But then you sort of flip it around and you look at then a Sam Lawler who played a little bit last year, has a severe hamstring injury at the back end of the season. But you're seeing the gains that he's made through a pre-season that he might be able to push up and play some midfield minutes. Now, Harry Armstrong, who's unfortunately out of the team this week, they need him playing. Well, to try to develop a key forward in this competition, a young key forward, is extremely difficult. It's probably the hardest spot for a player to play if you're a young key forward to play consistent football in this competition, because defenders are so good and
in a struggling team too.
In a struggling team, and the way teams set up a defensive system is also good. So for a young kid to learn the ropes there, and that's again getting your body right Monday to Friday, so then you can compete on a Saturday or Sunday, whenever day you play.
So Joel Peterson's headed down to the Port Adelaide camp. We'll check in with Port Adelaide in just a moment, but just on Richmond and their injuries, like you mentioned, Chad, they've had a lot of trouble with that across the past couple of years. And I mean, Armstrong, Aljar, Ralph Smith and Bolter are all out, and Richmond kind of noted down that they are short-term injuries. They kind of wanted that to be known, I guess, with Nathan Broad coming back in as one of the more experienced ones that comes in alongside Liam Fawcett, Samson Ryan and Kane McAuliffe. So when you look at those names coming in, obviously Nathan Broad provides the experience they need, given Tom Lynch is out as well, but that ruck issue is what they're going to have at the moment when you've got Samson Ryan being brought in for his first game since last year and has to kind of shoulder a fair bit of the load there without Nank.
Yeah, exactly right. But again, I feel pretty confident with Richmond who they've got at the ground of the ball. So, I mean, if they had a young midfield as well, then you'd be in strife. But maybe they might be a little bit reactive in terms of just a bit more closer to the body as midfielders and just not make sure that the ball doesn't get outside of the contest. But when it comes to, like I said, a ruckman is very important around the ground, and that's probably where they're going to miss Nate the most, because I feel like his impact aerially is so important. You think about the marking contests and just his ability to get up and down the ground. So he's one of the most, I suppose, probably the fittest ruckman that you think about in the competition, and same as Lloyd Meek. They're the ones that get up and down, can shoulder the load, so they're going to definitely miss that.
Aaron Borden, Joel Peterson calling the action today on ABC Sport. Adam Ramanauskas and Chad Wingard, your experts. Ray Chamberlain's getting ready down on the boundary for us. It was wonderful to have Toby Nankervis, the injured Richmond captain, join us off the top just a few moments ago. We've checked in with Richmond, and we can now see what's happening on the Port side of things. Joel Peterson's headed downstairs to find out. Over to you, Joel.
Thank you, Loz. Port Adelaide Senior Assistant Coach Stuart Dew's been good enough to share a bit of time with us. Stu, before we get too into the Port Adelaide side of things, the MCG, it's a beautiful day. Do you still get that feeling when you walk out onto this ground?
No, you always do, and the condition of the oval is as good as I've seen it in a number of years. Got a very September feel about it. The grass, it's nice and firm underneath, but good covering. It's you do get a little bit of goosebumps when you walk out.
You've got a debutant today in Mitch Dado, who only came here for the first time at training yesterday. A West Australian boy, hadn't even come here to watch a game. Did his eyes light up when he walked out here?
Oh, it's pretty cool. I mean, when you come out, it can be quite imposing. And I think when it's empty, it seems a little bit bigger than what it is too. So I think by the time the game comes around, he'll feel pretty comfortable. As we always say, there's goals at each end, like every oval, and he'll be concentrating on the game and less about what's happening around him.
A great story, of course, picked up only sort of 40-odd days ago. He was a greenskeeper at Trinity College in Perth last year, came across, signed in the SSP to come into Port Adelaide. What does he bring to the table in terms of his strengths today?
I think what we've liked is his intensity in attack on the ball or the opposition with the ball. And you'll see today that he's not overly tall, but he can take an overhead mark. So a couple of times at training, he's either taken mark of the week or very close to it. So we'll certainly encourage him to play to his strengths, and if they're there, to go for it, and if not, get after it at ground level.
A little bit of disappointing news this morning with Ollie Lord missing the rest of the season, which is a bit of a blow. There must be some real sadness around the club for Big Ollie.
Yeah, and just feel for him really, because at the end of the day, he's had a really good summer, and you know he's been in the mix. He obviously played early in the year, but he's been in the mix every week, and unfortunately for him, you know, it is season ending, but he can now, I guess, turn his attention to other parts of his game that he can improve whilst not on the park, as hard as that will be for him.
What was the response off last week against West Coast? A really good start for you, and then they gradually just clawed it back. What were the main areas of focus during the week?
I think just goals and passages of play that we can control if we get our stuff right. So, you know, West Coast were very good, but also we were in control of a lot of those plays, and I think that's just about levelling out that consistency, and certainly, you know, our first quarter was a sign of what we're after. We're just chasing that across 4 quarters, and we let them in for quarter 2 and 3, and then fought back to give ourselves a chance, but couldn't get it done.
It sort of feels like from us on the outside that we're trying to still ascertain what the Port Adelaide style might be this year. You've had Bergman start in the middle, move back, Lacoste just sort of swing back to forward, and O'Connor Rosie out there now. You've sort of had a little bit of turnover even in your personnel in the early part of this season. You as a coaching group still trying to find out exactly what this group can do implementing this new style?
Yes and no, and probably injuries have dictated a little bit of that movement. You know, with Connor going out and Miles missed, and obviously Asava going out, which is why Jack went back. So, you know, ideally we were able to settle it a little bit more, but it is only early in the season, so we should across the next few weeks be able to settle on what we look like. But in saying that, we're trying to grow our depth and have guys that can play multiple positions, but we'd rather that be by choice than necessity.
So when it does look like what you want it to look like, have you seen big periods of that throughout the course of the start of the season? Like, what does that game style look like when it is going right for you?
Yeah, I think, look, I'll probably look back to, you know, the last quarter against North, the first quarter last week. You know, we had 10 shots on goal. We didn't make them pay, and we probably left a couple out there as well. So I think we're able to move the ball pretty freely. But where we have broken down is letting it from our forward 50 all the way down. So certainly when we've been strong defensively and then been able to attack off that. And I think that's our challenge, and today will be different again because you know, Richmond play a little bit different to West Coast.
Zach Butters is a big part of your midfield, which you've got courage of this season. He's, of course, all the noise around him this season, but he's got the captaincy. How have you seen him handle it?
Oh, he's a professional. He's a competitor, and he's very. I guess he's another. How can I say another voice out there for the coaches that we can go through. You know, he sees the game really well, and for such an elite player, he's very selfless in the way he goes about it. So, we've been pretty strong with him to do it his way and not try and be someone even more than what he is, and certainly don't try and be Connor. So the job on the rest of the team is to make sure they do their bit so he's not overreaching.
Stuart Dew with us from Port Adelaide ahead of their clash against Richmond here at the MCG today. A little bit of criticism, I guess, or critique about the state of the list during the week and how that's building. You're relatively fresh back to the club, of course, after your time with Gold Coast and then Brisbane. What's your assessment of where the list's at and where this build's at? Yeah, we need to grow our depth, and certainly we've seen now with, I guess if you're missing 4 or 5 of your best 22 in there, we're testing our depth and exposing them. But on the positive side, guys are playing maybe earlier than what we would have thought. And our job, I think last week, we averaged about 74 games, which is reasonably young. Very young. I think it was the youngest for the round. But, we still expect the same behaviours and habits. We don't check their birth certificate, but we're also, strongly focused on educating them on what AFL footy is. And Josh Carr, of course, a premiership teammate of yours. You go back a long way. You've been a senior coach as well. How have you seen him, even in the first 4 weeks of the season, sort of grow and continue to adapt his style? I've enjoyed watching Curry go to work. He's very consistent. I think even on the weekend, look, 2 points, and we would have reviewed it just as strongly because, there was parts of our game that we need to get better. So I think our process needs to be really consistent, and Curry's role modelling that. And I think the players felt that too, backed them in after the game against North and they were able to respond against Essendon. So today is going to be a key part of that. The Richmond side of things, yet to get on the board this season. They've got a lot of young talent, obviously without some of their key players, the likes of Nankervis and that side of thing. But when you did your opposition analysis this week, what sort of a strengths are you trying to quell with them today? Well, clearly their midfield's their main strength is where most of their experience is, and even down back they've got a couple of experienced defenders there that can marshal the troops. And even watching North yesterday with the impact that Luke Parker, someone like that, can have. One experienced guy in your back six can really hold it together. And obviously they've got Voston as a really key player, but certainly games always won and lost in the midfield. So, I think it'll be a territory game, and we've got to try and get on top. Stuart, thanks for your time here on ABC Sport. Thank you.
Big thanks to Joel Peterson downstairs with Stuart Dew ahead of the matchup between Richmond and Port Adelaide at the MCG. About 17 minutes or so from the start of this match and it getting underway. Just, I guess, going off what Stewie Drew said there and the ins that have come in. So Ollie Wines, the Brownlow medalist, is in. Mitch Zaddo makes his debut. And Miles Bergman comes in from an ankle injury. What are you expecting from Ollie Wines coming back in, given he had his suspension, he came back through the SA NFL, and Josh Carr kind of in his press conference said we wanted him to have a match so he could get used to the pace. So whether he's referencing the pace of the game this year or maybe ensuring he doesn't get an injury in his match back.
Yeah, well, when I was playing with him, he's actually a really efficient runner. Like he does cover the ground pretty well, and he might look slow, but he does get a lot of high-speed efforts. So I think we expect from him is to bring that brutal force. That's probably what they're missing, just that kind of tenacity at the ball. And you got to put him around where his strengths are. There's no point bringing him in and putting him up in the forward line. He's a contested ball, and I expect him to be, either going to someone at stoppage or going to be a hit to and get. I'll see what they're missing is getting on the outside. So whether he can get the ball and then release to like the Butters, Jason Horn, Francis, those type of players. So I expect him to not just be minutes restricted. It was as much as they're saying that. Yeah. I think they need to put him where, I suppose, make the minutes count. So as a midfielder, you can play 62% and still get 20-odd touches. So I feel like those minutes, whether restrictions there or not, that it needs to be in the midfield. Yeah. Not throw your weight around, but in that that sort of area where go in and kind of, I don't know, just enforce himself on the match. Yeah, definitely. And that's what he's known for. Yeah. And he's a Brownlow medalist, and he was, like I said, similar to like a Tom Mitchell type of player, just going in there, getting the ball, getting it to your receivers on the outside. So no problem with the pace of the game now? You think with Ollie Wines coming back in, and it seems to be a lot faster, you reckon he'll be all right? I don't think so. Yeah. He gets, like a lot of the midfielders, they're kind of separated. If you're like a forward half kind of midfielder, you're a defensive half like a Merritt. You think about a forward half like an Ed Richards. Ollie Wines definitely stays more central, so he'll be around the square. So if you think about like a Sammy Mitchell back in the day, they don't normally go too far out either side of the square in the forward 50 or the back 50. So I expect him to, I suppose, adjust to the pace of the game purely because of his role. He'll be very corridor basis, I'd imagine.
0437 774 774 if you would like to get in touch with us this afternoon. Ange sent through a message saying, is there merit in raising the draft age? Young players developing injuries and balancing the list. I think that's got to do with Toby Nankervis and what he was saying and what we were chatting with afterwards about injuries.
Yeah.
I guess that is where Mitch Zaddo comes in. You know, he's come in at, what is he? He's 22 years old. He was at East Fremantle. He's probably a little bit more mature. Is that the way to go about it? There's a few other players out there like Jack Watkins. You're all shaking your head.
No way. What's Dacos going to be doing for the first 2 years? We're going to hold a Brownlow medalist, like contender, out of the AFL for this role. Like there's guys that, similar like Cody Walker at the moment coming through. Like he Jagger Smith. Like guys can come in and make a huge impact. The Ashcroft boys. We're saying that they're going to raise the age limit. What happens to the guys that are completely ready? Almost been ready for 2 years. So James Hurt back in the day, he was playing at 16?
No. Tim Watson was at 15. I'm a little bit different to that. Okay, so this has been spoken about a lot to death, but I think my point to it is I would like to see the under-18 competition here in Victoria, that is, raised to an under-21 competition. You can still be drafted at 18. Okay, but let's keep kids in a system, in an elite pathway system for longer, rather than right now where they come in at 16, play 1 or 2 games, then a bottom major at 17, they might play a few, then 18. 18, they've got their VCE and also a draft year, so there's a lot of pressure there. I'd love to see that extended out longer, and then it sort of allows players, to develop at their own speed. Like who you were talking about earlier, Loz, because some guys are just simply not ready. They're not ready physically, they're not ready mentally. The guys that Chad mentioned there, absolutely, they deserve to be drafted at 18 and ready to go in and play AFL. But if we can keep guys around longer, we've got a real problem with drafting ruckman at the moment.
Yep.
It just doesn't happen because they're just not ready to play. Clubs know they draft a ruckman, well, they've got to wait till they're 23, 24, 25 before you start to get any benefit for drafting them. So I would like to see the AFL look at that.
What would be the benefit for keeping for bringing in more of an under-21s competition than sending these players out to play in the VFL, the SAFL? Well, is it just more eyes on?
I think then the VFL competition becomes an over-21 competition after that. So, that's you sort of got your stepping stones that way in how you look at it. Now, whether that's the waffle, whether that's a Stanford, whatever competition you want to use. But this, to me, would then keep more guys in an elite pathway system for longer and allow clubs more time to then evaluate a draft pick properly. I think it was Ange mentioning about the injuries. Well, yeah, there's what happens before a draft is they go to a draft combine, they get one medical test on themselves, and a club's then meant to make a decision from that 30-minute consultation.
Yeah.
Now, they don't know Sam Lawler's going to snap his hamstring to Richmond the way he did last year. They've got no idea about that. But with more time and more expertise in able to look at these kids, maybe there's a weakness there. Maybe, okay, no, we're not going to draft him this year. Someone else may have drafted him, of course. But we can then speak to his elite pathway club and say, well, he needs to work on strength around his glutes and hamstrings and quads, etc., etc. And then we get better athletes. Because the last thing we want the best spectacle possible every single week. Now, that relies upon having the best players available every single week. Now, we don't have that at the moment. I don't know, Chad might correct me here, but there's never been a round of football when we've had 100% of the AFL available for a round of football. So every team can pick their very, very best team.
I don't think that'll ever happen.
Yeah. I don't think it'll ever happen either, but that's what I'm getting at. That's got to be the ultimate, where we've got to get to. Now, how we do that is continue to develop these players correctly.
Well, there's always changes happening in the AFL world, so you never know what will be happening. Maybe, Rama, you'll get something started. Lauren Porter and Joel Peterson to call the action at the MCG today. Adam Ramanauskas and Chad Wingard, your experts. Ray Chamberlain's down in the front row of the MCG, watching as Richmond have just run through their banner. They've headed out to the punt road end where their cheer squad is to do their final warm-ups. Port Adelaide at the city end, going through their run-through. So as we look to this match, it's Richmond who are sitting in 18th position, probably not where they, I guess, should be, considering what the likes of Essendon have produced this year so far. Port Adelaide 1 and 2 coming into the match today. So where do you see this game being won and lost as we get closer to the start?
I think the midfield, honestly, and it's pretty easy to say that in terms of that's where their most experience is for both teams, and it's where their star talent is. For me, I feel actually pretty confident with both backlines, if I'm being honest. They got a lot of seniority there as well. You got Vlosten, you got some serious talent back there as well, but it's got to be won in a territory battle. When you think about how Richmond play and how Port Adelaide play, Richmond want to play a territory front half game and they flood their numbers back. I mean, they weren't able to stop the bleeding last week. Lucky Fremantle didn't kick straight. But Port Adelaide, they want to get out into space, so they've got a little bit more, I suppose, top-end speed and top-end talent, I would say, with the Butters, Jason Horne-Francis, those kind of players. But again, it's going to be that midfield for me. Where it's won in battle, it's going to be, like they said in the pre-game meeting, it's going to be a territory battle, so I expect that to be nonetheless.
So we did Richmond Gold Coast here a couple of weeks ago. Richmond were leading that game halfway through the second quarter, and then Gold Coast went on to win that game by 68 points, completely dominated them. Where Richmond struggled in that game is they continue to kick the ball to Bodie Ulan. He had 8 intercept marks in that game, so I think Chad's spot on. It's got to be that midfield that's using the ball correctly. When you're a young developing team, you need to make the most of every opportunity that you've got going forward. So Port Adelaide have got those defenders. Alira is obviously an intercepting defender. Lukosius, if he plays down there, what Josh Carr does with him. So I think it's Richmond's ball use is a big watch for me and how they do that. But then I think on the other hand, Port Adelaide, their forward line fascinates me. I don't know whether it's a good forward line or an average forward line. I can't quite work it out yet. Like some days I look at it and go, this could be one of the best forward lines in the competition, the way they move and work for each other. Then other days it doesn't look up to AFL standard, just because of how it just flows. So I think they're the two watches for me: Richmond's ball movement going forward, and then how Port Adelaide's forward line functions. Do you have Jack Lukosius in that forward line? I would put him back personally, because I think when Jack plays as a forward, it's always his work rate that comes into question. When he plays back, he has to play on somebody, he has to run with somebody, so he doesn't dictate his own work rate when he plays as a defender. So I like him behind the ball, and I think his kicking is elite.
Josh Carr said during the week that he would play forward and that Bergman will be going back, so he'll be going in to support their defence, basically saying that's where we need him right now. In terms of Port Adelaide's overall game style in their first couple of games under Josh Carr, I mean, they were flatly uninspiring against North Melbourne. They possessed the footy. They really struggled to build it up, chipped it around the back line. There was no real go forward about what they did. And then they sort of take care of Essendon, and it's hard to know exactly what to take out of that. And then last week they got off to that rollicking start, and West Coast just pegged them back eventually and got over the top of them in the midfield. What have you made of the style that they're playing across the ground in the first 3 weeks?
Well, again, I was at that North Melbourne game and they got chopped to pieces when they got spread open in terms of on their defence. And I think they made a couple of adjustments in the last couple of games, but Port Adelaide really needed to sharpen up on their D2. And by D2, I mean the person that's closest to the ball that's within a receiving distance from a kick. So they're about 15 to 20 metres away. Their defence is just not quite good enough. They're getting chopped apart from their inside forward 50 kicks, inside 45 kicks, and then they're getting opened up. You think about Carlton in the last halves, like they just get opened up because teams are able to chip through them and then get on the outside of them. Port Adelaide is just not a defensive-minded team. I feel like they are a bit of front runners at times, and I think that's because you've got that serious front-end talent and they don't quite have that depth of star power in there. I suppose 22 at the moment. But that said, I feel Ollie Wines getting another senior player in, someone who does all the right things, says all the right things. I feel like that standard setter whether he starts on the field or not, I think that's going to kind of uplift a few of the boys. I know we've all had the Butters conversation. If you lived in Adelaide, you would 100% get this, because that would be spoken about every second conversation if and around the clubs, all the media that you see. So hopefully, again, a win can take that away. And Butters obviously was the captain. And so that kind of conversation can, I suppose, play on the players' minds a little bit. So I'm hoping that Ollie coming back in kind of settles the storm a little bit, and they can just get back to their brutal, I suppose, Port Adelaide DNA.
With Ollie Wines coming back into the team, is there another spot on the field he can play?
That's a good question. I haven't seen it in my time, and in his career, he's been similar to Tom Mitchell. You know, like he's been so good at what he does that he hasn't had to. He's even from his first year, it was pick 7 straight into the midfield. I don't think he has the capability to go forward. Yes, he has the height, but he hasn't practiced that kind of traits. Like, you think about body positioning, he can be that kind of Paddy Cripps in the ruck, which we've seen him do a few times if they wanted to go a little bit smaller, to have like almost like a 4th or 5th mid going through there. But I can't see him wanting to do that, obviously coming off an injury, but that's probably the only 2 options.
It just feels like with Ollie now, he's been a super player for Port Adelaide, don't get me wrong, but if things are going not right at Port Adelaide, particularly through the midfield, he'll be the one that gets tipped out.
Yep.
Which I would love to see him go and play as a deep forward, or see if he can play as a half forward flanker. You know, just a different role where there's other options for him. He's too good to be playing reserves football.
Oh, definitely.
That's the way I look at it. So is there another role that, like you said, Chad, that he hasn't trained for, but you can start to introduce him to it? Because I'd love to see him play more and more football, but if it's in the midfield consistently throughout the next year or two, he might be the one pushed out.
He might be, but also that's where other clubs would start sniffing. So he's obviously a Melbourne-born player, and there'd be plenty of, obviously, you think about Essendon and some of the players that they could use. Some teams could definitely use this kind of player. So whether he stays there or not, I don't think he needs to stray away from. He won a Brownlow medal. You know, same as Tommy Mitchell. They're good at what they do. Yeah. So you don't want to, if you take away what he's good at and put him in somewhere else, it actually defeats the purpose of actually having him in the side, in my opinion. That's like playing me on a back line. There's going to be a bad kick on me. That's just not happening. Don't do it to yourselves.
So he's only 31, Ollie Wines, but still a few years left in him, absolutely. So, yeah, we'll see how that one plays out. We'll see how he goes today. Maybe, I don't know if there'd be a few nerves from coming in after playing in the Rezzies last week.
Oh, it's a different feel, and I did that at the VFL as well. You do get a bit nervous because you got the expectation you actually got to dominate there, because it's a second level. But I think and it's a different kind of brand, SANFL to the VFL and to the AFL. So similar rules, but just different kind of. You got to meet all the different relationships. So I expect him to be more comfortable at this level than he would be at the SANFL. To be honest,
he did get it 37 times, so at least he saw a bit of the footy.
Yep, that'll do.
That helps.
Saw the opportunity to dominate, and that's exactly what he did.
Yep.
Adam Ramadaskas and Chad Wingard, your experts across today on ABC Sport. Lauren Borden and Joel Peterson to call the action. The 5th member of our commentary team is Ray Chamberlain. He's all set in his position, sitting downstairs between the 2 benches. Hello to you, Ray.
Loz, how are you doing today?
Oh, fantastic. It's nice to be working with you for the very first time. What a treat.
Nah, the privilege is mine. I tell you what, we're all privileged today. What a banging day here at the MCG. Bit of a swirly breeze going across the ground towards the Shane Warne stand. Maybe a little bit left of screen as we're looking at it. But I'm really excited to see how Richmond front up against this Port Adelaide side.
Thanks, Ray. Look forward to your contributions throughout today. 0437 774 774. We've got a text coming in, listening on a tractor up near Maryborough. That's your way, Joel.
Beautiful part of the world, Loz.
There we go. Some
Central
love.
Goldfields.
Central Goldfields.
As long as it's not Maryborough in Queensland. So there's 2 Maryboroughs. I'm assuming it's the Victorian version.
We'll go with that. Some love coming in for you, Rama. And Paul from Torquay said it's disappointing to see Will Brodie dropped after one game. So I think he was out. He played for 1,000 days.
Well, I think that's a direct swap for Ollie Wines.
And Ollie Wines has come in.
So I know who I'm picking if I've got a choice between Ollie Wines and Will Brodie.
So, Will Brodie goes out, one of 3 omissions from the side, or 2 omissions, and Sava Radagalia out with a knee injury. Well, Richmond made 4 changes with, 4 players injured and bringing in another 4 players. So the Tigers' 18th spot on the ladder at the moment. Port Adelaide 11th, they're 1-2 in their first season under Josh Carr. Just a minute or so away from the opening ball up here. Just some tips from you, Chad. And Rummer, it's not the easiest game.
Well, I've been hopeless this weekend. So I got Brisbane right on Thursday night, and yesterday I was all wrong. So I'm tipping Port Adelaide today. I think albeit they lost last week, their form has been better than Richmond over the past fortnight.
And I agree. I think the top-end talent is probably just a bit more superior than for Port Adelaide, and I think that midfield is going to just get on top.
So Mitch Zato comes in to make his debut. I feel like, Joel, that's someone you're going to be keeping an eye on. He's got the story that you'd love.
Yep.
So we'll watch how he goes. Ollie Wines, as we've just mentioned, coming back in for his first match of the season. It is Richmond and Port Adelaide, a real opportunity for each of these two sides to get a win. It is a stunning day for footy. You couldn't ask for anything more than an April's day in Melbourne. It is Richmond and Port Adelaide on ABC Sport. Here's Joel Peterson.
Perfect conditions. Let's see how it unfolds with two teams hoping that they can climb the ladder as this season progresses. Taranto straight onto it in the middle for the Tigers. Prestia's handball forward up toward the punt road end of the ground. Intercepted by Byrne-Jones. An early touch for Farrell, who sends the power up toward half forward. And straight into the action is Zato, who's on the ground and presenting up the first gamer out of East Fremantle. Takes the mark and sends it to Horn Francis at right half forward. And Georgiades steams out of the goal square and clunks it 45 from home, 10 in from the boundary right forward pocket.
Well, that's going to be a tough matchup for Miller. Georgiades is super quick on the lead. Miller likes to sort of wrestle and hold position and the like. You can see there Georgiades ahead of the ball. He just didn't want any contact with Miller at all, and then just came back to the football for an easy hit up.
Lots of talk about where he might be playing his footy in the future this week, Mitch Georgiades. For now, he's in power colours and lining up for the set shot. Hits across the face and it goes out off the hand of Lukosius. It'll be thrown in. Port Adelaide in their white jersey with the white shorts today, with the teal and black chevrons across the front. The traditional black strip with the yellow sash for the Tigers and the black shorts here at the G.
Looking forward to seeing the teal jump up. Get a gig next week at Gather Out.
Oh, yes.
As it gets tossed in, it is Taranto that rips it out for the Tigers. Hand pass across to Gray, hand pass to Sonzi, puts it on his boot and gets it out of the danger zone to a pack. It's picked up though by Jones, who'll thump it back inside forward 50 for Port. It's an intercepting mark again taken by Gray. And he'll hold on to it and then chip backwards. It'll bobble its way towards Trainer, who in the end rushes it through for a rush behind. So the first score there is off a bit of a sloppy defensive kick, and it'll be that one behind that Port Adelaide's leading by nearly 2 minutes played in the opening term.
Banks to bring it in for the Tigers. Drives a low footy up the middle of the ground. Fall got hands to it. Defensive side of the centre circles. Big pack over it. Zato's there again laying a tackle. Willem Drew trying to extract the footy. No one can. We'll have a ball up. As Loz said earlier, Port Adelaide have won 5 in this matchup by an average of 37 points. They've scored 122, 116 and 140 in the last 3 against the Tigers. The last 2 games here at the G, they lost by 91 last year against Collingwood in their only appearance here. Scored 45 points. The game before that, they scored 53 in a win. So it hasn't been a hugely offensive place for them. Here's Kane Farrell. He is an absolute super boot. He unloads from 65 on the left boot. Just puts it away to the right. It is a minor score and 2 behinds now to the power through 3 minutes.
Ball to be brought in by Sam Banks. Had a good year last year. This little chip, it's its target in Taranto. He's still in defensive 50 for the Tigers. Southern side of the MCG. Dodges right, then dodges left, nearly slips over, does get around Whitlock, but the kick's an absolute shocker. It'll just head to the wing where it's anyone's ball, and it's Evans that takes it for Port Adelaide. He's tackled to the turf and will be holding the footy. Free kick for Richmond. They might have got away with one there, Chad.
Yeah, that was a bit of a rough kick. It was a tumbler, got through the crowd, and then great follow-up, though. That was the 10th from Richmond's been pretty impressive so far.
Prestia set a wing out of side, sends it inside the forward 50. Lear stood in the hole. He had Lawler coming over the top of him. Now Lawler takes the footy at half forward for the Tigers. Searches for a path forward. Handball to Ryan, down at his bootlaces. The big fella on hands and knees at the top of the 50. He was set an awful task there.
Well, that's a long way down for Samson Ryan.
Down to the basement to get that one.
Look, it was pretty ungainly stuff from Big Samson. who's more at home in the ruck contest that ensued from it. Richards around the body, straight back into tough territory. Banks to full forward. Lafau comes out, hand to it. Farrell roved it nicely. Hand pass blindly over his head to Aliir. Exiting kick in the direction of McKinlay. Swooping up and picking up was Sonsi. And then Presti has sprayed that into row F. Out of bounds on the full. Butters to take it in the left back pocket for the Power. They lead by 2 points. 4.5 played the opening term.
You don't see that too often. Presti are wasting a disposal, but it's been hot pretty early, which is good to see.
So Butters sets on his line and then brings the footy in, just chips it to centre half back. Horn Francis takes the mark. Perfect day for footy on this Easter Saturday, and it's a standing free that's paid against Lawler.
Come on, Ray.
Happy with that, Ray?
Yeah, so if you're trailing your opponent, you've got to be within 2 to 3 metres of your opposition if you're going to trail your oppo through, and I thought the player was, so I feel like Richmond were a bit hard done by there.
So Horn Francis' kick inside 50 is a direct turner anyway. Miller marks that one. So in the right back pocket, he'll take the kick, put it out towards the wing. No mark can be taken by Ross. He spills it out. Still a chance for Port Adelaide here by Farrell, who's close to the boundary line and takes it over. Justin will have a boundary thrown on the outer side of the ground. Just forward of centre wing to Port Adelaide's advantage. They're kicking towards the city end of the MCG in this first term. Just a couple of behinds to the Power. Richmond yet to score. We've played 5.5 minutes in the opener.
Throw in falls short of the ruck. Sweet scurried across to scoop it underhand and only as far as Prestia. Shoveled it up to Taranto. Kicks inside forward 50. Lafau in the wrestle with Jones. Gets out the back. Aliir was calm in the crisis. Hand pass to Jones. Inside the back 50 here, the Power. Evans worked it nicely to Richards by hand. His kick split a couple of Power players. Allowed McKinlay onto the footy. Handball off to Butters. Kicks to centre half forward. Nice footy for Georgiades, who turns immediately. Sends it to the square. Sweet was the target. It's offline. And another minor score for the Power. They lead by 3. 6 gone. Opening term. Saturday footy here on ABC Sport.
Well, Jonty Falls got the match up on Aliir. Now, Aliir's had 2 intercept possessions already, so Falls just got to be closer. He's got to engage with Aliir in marking contest just to keep Aliir away from those intercept possessions and marks.
Thanks, chip it to Short, who kicked it outside of defensive 50. Lukosius intercepts it and will send it right back inside 50 for Power. No mark can be taken by Georgiades, who rose, brought the ball to ground though. Come out towards Bloston, who's fighting for it, takes it, hand passes it to Sonsi. 50 metres out from defensive goal, puts it on his boot and just kicks out to that southern wing. And again, it's Aliir who takes an intercepting mark. It's all happening in repeat. Hand passes it away to Butters, to Georgiades. He'll dribble this one inside 50. Again, it's Richmond that can mop up by a trainer. Hand pass to Sonsi, who hand passes it across to Banks. Just a dinky little kick forward. It's Farrell, the only player there who can chop it off. Long kick inside 50 for Port Adelaide. This one falls into the pocket. The tap from Sweet will make its way close to the goal face, and it will go through for a rush behind. Miller wanted to play on quickly, but he'll be brought right back to take his kick again. Another behind for Port Adelaide. They're leading by 4 points. Richmond yet to score. 7 minutes played in the opening term.
And it's looking a little bit like tennis because both teams have 1 or 2 spares behind the ball, so it's going to be hard for Richmond to get outside of their 50 because they're letting Aliir beating him 1-on-1, but they've also got an extra spare there at the back of the contest.
Voice of Chad Wingard alongside Adam Raranaskas with you this afternoon here on ABC Sport. A long kick out of defence for the Tigers. And it's going to be a free kick as well. Good tackle, Seth Campbell. Tasmania Tyro, who's had such a good year and a half in Richmond colours, particularly the leading goal kicker last season. They shifted immediately, kick up to the edge of the 50. Fall competes for it in the air, right on the paint of the arc. Now going in is Green, had a great game last week, got dumped in the tackle there, and Steely Green coming off 3 goals last week. Once he finally gets to his feet and Willem Drew lets him go, and take his kick from right on the 50. Inside the arc, it's an awkward one for Floston. Whitlock punched it away. Floston's back onto it, pokes it to the pocket. Evans rises against Campbell, smashes it toward the boundary line. Campbell's there to push Lukosius across, and it'll be thrown in junction of the 50 in the boundary right forward pocket. Tigers into attack at the punt road end. 9 played in the opening term. Well, the Power with 4 behind.
Both teams just can't hit the target at the moment.
It's been very sloppy. It's actually the decision making. Yeah. They're not quite executing at the right time. They're a bit rushed.
Sweet with front position, taps it down, hits Taranto's boot. It will come off the side and will ricochet it out towards Grill, who can put it towards the goal. He might be able to go all the way, not quite. The goal line is Aaliyah and Jones as well, and each of them are able to stop it before it goes through the middle. It'll be a behind. It's Richmond's first score. Oh, no score at all is counted as a mark. So just no score still for Richmond. Port Adelaide ahead by 4 points.
Kinlay at half-back. Got it for Burgoyne. Made him work on the return hand pass. Now Burgoyne to Butters. Little 8-metre kick. You don't see Zach Butters miss too many of those. Whitlock's dumped across the boundary line. It'll be tossed back in front of the benches. So when even Zach Butters is missing the little passes, you know the skills quite aren't as sharp as they need to be.
Well, that's Rioli there. That's perceived pressure. Everyone knows when he's around the ball that you're a chance to get tackled. So he made decisions for 3 different Port Adelaide players then, and they rushed every single disposal. So well done.
Hopper at the stoppage to Grill. Hand pass now to Floston. Back to Hopper. Just cedes some territory. Got it back to Trainer. He turns it over to Burn-Jones for the power. Cuts it up the middle. Farrell's behind the centre circles in the sunshine here at the MCG. Lofts it on over the top. Jacob Ware's continued to run. He's a kick and a half from home, and there's a free kick down the ground.
I did see that. He just pushed him well off the ball. That's Durden. Corey Durden was just trying to get in position. I'm not sure if it was Vloston, but as a Richmond player just pushed him, almost tackled him to the ground, about 30, 40 metres away from the goal. So this is about 20 metres out, straight in front.
Miller, Georgiades and Floston are all having words inside the forward 50. And here's Jacob Ware. Hasn't kicked a goal in power colours in his first season at Alberton. And he's just snuck that one in. His first Port Adelaide goal and the first of the game here at the G. 1-4-10 the power. Richmond yet to score. Nearly 11 minutes played opening term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Chad Wingard and Adam Ramanauskas.
Well, I'm just waiting for a little replay. This would look as good ball movement. Darcy Burn-Jones took the intercept mark, and then it was back through the middle of the ground. First to Farrell, then to Jacob Ware. And then obviously the free kick downfield for holding, bumping, pushing, whatever it may be. This is where, as a defender, because you're trying to reset yourself, you're trying everything.
Do you know what's so stiff? Is that if I'm the forward and I'm the one that's getting tackled, I don't get the set shot.
Oh, that's right.
It's because it's downfield.
Yep.
Sorry, that's a forward.
That's a very
forward, isn't it? I drew the free kick. Give me the ball. I won't have a set shot.
So ball up, back in the middle. It's tough to wait. Little push away from Watkins. It only goes as far as Lawler, though, of the Tigers. Hand passes back towards Banks. He's at centre. Back gets tackled by Berry. It's a beautiful tackle. It's holding the footy. And Berry wins the free kick for Port Adelaide just inside attacking 50.
Well, I love that by Port. They forced them back with handball, but they didn't allow them an easy possession. They just continue to put that frontal pressure on. And there Berry was able to just nail Banks in a really good tackle.
Joe Berry will back himself from here as well. Pulls up the socks and then starts on his approach towards goal. Lets the kick go towards the goal. He's got plenty of the distance. He's just offline to the left. And a minor score for Port Adelaide. They move to 1-5-11. Richmond still haven't scored. 12 minutes played in the opening term. It's Saturday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
That was Kennedy-esque with that approach, with their little stutter step. Definitely got the distance, that's for sure. It went about 60.
Having a good ride to Joe Berry. You know, this man can do the same. Tom Brown brings it back in for Richmond. Kicks to the sunshine of the Shane Warne stand side, and Aaliyah rises highest in the pack and pulls it in. He's been impenetrable thus far. Against a couple of inexperienced forwards, Aaliyah's got his way today. Kick skewed off the side of the boot as he came through the middle of the ground. Found its way to Burn-Jones. Off to Lai. It kicks to the edge of the 50. And it's intercepted. Nice work from Kane McAuliffe, the South Australian. Takes it on the edge of the defensive arc. Sends it out toward the interchange. Rioli's got 2 to work against. Burn-Jones had a bounce off his head. It's built to Green. Sockers it on for the Tigers. Rioli gives chase. Bergman's there for the power. Hand passes through the traffic to Ware. Now back to Lai. Standing start. Back to Burn-Jones. Clean close confines to the boundary line. Kicks up the wing. And McAuliffe outpoints the Coaches hopelessly and takes the mark on centre wing.
So Kane McAuliffe gets the hurry on from the umpire and just dumps it on his boot to get it right to the top of attacking 50 for Richmond. It'll be punched away by Lai and over the boundary line for a throw-in. Just outside of attacking 50 for the Tigers. Haven't scored yet in this match so far. Haven't won a game in the season either so far. Just sitting in 18th position on the ladder. Tosses the ball in. Ryan's in there for the Tigers. Taps it down. It's picked up by Watkins of the Power. His hand pass goes to Prestia of the Tigers. Hand passes it away to Taranto. Just bobbles the kick inside 50. It might work, not quite. Evans clutters over his opponent. Aaliyah has the footy. Tries to hand pass it towards Lai. That goes directly out of bounds. That was a shocker of a hand pass, but it will be a throw in. Inside forward 50 for the Tigers.
At what point, when Aaliyah has that many set marks, do you go even the numbers? Because you're asking a lot from your young forwards, and they're giving his back. They're giving their back every time, so they need to potentially even up the numbers.
He's had 6 disposals already, Aaliyah at the stoppage. Sweet win without it. Burn-Jones picked it up. He's enveloped in yellow and black jumpers, and he won't come away with it. Throw up 25 out from Richmond's goal.
Yeah, and the problem is all 6 have been intercepts.
Exactly right.
So it's making, you're asking a lot of a young forward.
Rioli's on the move at the stoppage. Got the handball free for the Tigers. Ross, Sonsi, now to Short. We know he can give it a whack. He got caught on the wrong foot. Tees it up within 20 of goal. Sweet was there to run it down. Went through the hands of Drew. Taranto had a play at it. Taken away though, almost. Burgoyne gave it away, and now Jones has got it. He's tackled. And the ball up, top of the goal square. Richmond still into attack.
Tossed up very close to Richmond's goal. Burgoyne comes in there, dives on top of the footy, has it, and he's dived on top of, and this will be a ball up now. Just next to the attacking goal square for Richmond. Metres away from goal, haven't scored yet in the match so far. Sweet gets a little tap out and tries to put it towards the boundary. Morris Rioli chasing after it, can keep it in for Richmond.
Oh, right.
Hit and kick. He's perfect. And it hits Short on the chest. He goes backwards from his position. Morris Rioli gets it to about 40 metres out from goal where Short is marked, and he'll have a set shot at goal.
Well, it's probably the best bit of skill that we've seen in the game. Well, what are we? We're 16 minutes into this first quarter, but Rioli could have easily tried to snap it over his head and create something out of nothing.
Well worked from Rioli to Short. He kicks this one towards goal. It is very, very high.
Well, 9-9.
And it's offline.
Even a lob wedge for Jaden Short. He's a 60, 70 metre kick usually.
It's one behind for Richmond. That's their first score of the day. They're trailing Port Adelaide by 10 points. 16 minutes have been played in the opening term here at the MCG.
I'm not sure he's keeping that caddy, Rammer. I think he's got to sort out exactly the club selection there and the advice that he's getting. The power X at the 50, it's smacked away from McKinlay, and it's over and out for a boundary throw-in underneath the Shane Warne stand. Southern side of the MCG, Joel Peterson, Lauren Gordon, Chad Wingard, Adam Ramanauskas and Ray Chamberlain with you. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Great to have your company. Sydney and West Coast in the west. A little bit later on this evening, big Easter Sunday, and then we'll be back here on Easter Monday as well. Berry cuts the lines for the Power, hands it off to Horn Francis, 60 metres out, goal at his mercy, pops it over the top, Whitlock rushing back there, terrific, desperate defence from Traynor. Holds him up, tackles him, drags him across the boundary line, and a throw in the right forward pocket.
That's got to hit that kick from Horn Francis.
Yeah, that's the fourth time they've actually not sure whether it's a shot on goal or whether to kick to the forward leading back. And both times it's either gone through for a point or it's gone out of bounds.
It's tossed in. Sweet just grabs it out of the ruck, tries to get a hand pass away. Brown's there to grab it and hand pass it. It'll be a clearing kick coming from Traynor. He gets all the way out towards Fall. He can't take the mark. It'll be coming back. Burgoyne. Hand pass to Burn-Jones. His kick is smothered. In comes Fall again and just scoops it away and pushes it as far as he can. It just gets to lie though. So it's in Port Adelaide's hands. Hand pass to Aaliyah. His hand pass goes wide. And it'll be a boundary throw in. Port Adelaide ahead by 10 points. Let's head down to Ray Chamberlain on the boundary.
I don't know what it looks like from up there, and Richmond have got their troubles forward to the centre, but I tell you what, they're up for the fight. At the contest, they're having a real crack. Port probably a little bit, I feel like they're a bit off the pace.
11-2 in terms of clearances for the Tigers early in this one. So they are. They've certainly got the ascendancy around the footy raiser. McAuliffe will take the free kick for the last touch. That is an audacious kick across the defensive 50. Miller knocked it down to make it okay. It was all Port Adelaide inside the back 50 though. The Tigers now on the fast break. Kick out in front of Campbell. Got behind his opponent. Poach it to the pocket. Fawcett's on the end of it. That was a play laced with risk.
But it came with reward for the Tigers, and now Liam Fawcett with the chance to finish it off.
Fortune favours the brave.
Oh, please kick this, because Monday review is going to be funny watching this, tell you that.
Liam Fawcett, one of their inclusions this week. He's been in good form in the VFL. Just been the finishing touch that's been the query on him so far this year. As it is there from the right forward pocket, he's kicked it all the way across the face of goal. Missed the set. It's out of bounds on the full, and Alier will take it from the back pocket, so it stays a 10-point Port lead.
That rattles me, that. If you don't feel confident on your opposite foot,
kick a check side.
Kick a check side.
Yep.
I mean, I was never a right foot banana, so I just used my left foot.
Yep.
Leah's gone for a jog, taken a bounce in the goal square, and then moved the footy off to Farrell, who's then kicked it outside of defensive 50. Horn Francis there to collect. Spins around in a full 360 before just dabbing it on his boot. It'll go close to the boundary line. Georgiadis is there, but is alongside him and sees it over the boundary line for a boundary throw-in.
Just another easy missed target by Horn Francis.
Razor, is it windy down there? What's going on?
It's a bit breezy, and it's pushing more across to the Shane Warne side rather than favouring either end. But look, Port, you feel like they've got the superior cattle, but they just a bit lackadaisical for mine.
Thanks, Ray. It's tossed back in. Hopper grabs it, hand pass to Taranto, hand pass to Sonzi. And again, Richmond will try and move the ball forward. It's a long kick across the right half forward. Fawcett couldn't take the mark. Scores inside 50. It'll just be kept in with a kick towards goal. Coming from Seth Campbell from outside the boundary line. But again, he's missed as he gets a little tug as well. And it'll be a Port Adelaide free kick. So no score there for the Tigers. It'll be a free kick going to Farrell. Port Adelaide headbutt, 10 points. Just the one goal kicked in this opening term so far. We've ticked into time on. And it's Port Adelaide 1-5-11, Richmond 1 behind.
Been busy early, Kane Farrell. Makes disposal, kicks up the southern wing through the hands of a couple, including Lafau. Hopper was onto it for Richmond. And it's going to be a free kick for holding the ball. For maybe illegal disposal there. Jacob Ware laid the tackle on Hopper. He's got it just behind centre wing. Pops it over the top for Port Adelaide. 1-5 plays one behind. 21 gone opening term. It hasn't been the greatest start in terms of skill level for either of these teams. Richards now for the power at left half forward. He doesn't see a lot that he likes. Shields his eyes from the sun. Then he gets on the move. Pokes his right foot kick just to the edge of the 50. Horn Francis rises up to mark. He's 52 from home. Not a lot of movement inside the forward 50 here for the Hornet. A set-up kick to the pocket. Georgiades with a run at it. He had a good piece of that. Couldn't pull it in. Good tackle from Drew inside the forward 50 for Port Adelaide. Ball spills onto the deck. 40 metres out from the power goal. Clearing kick for the Tigers to Farrell. Dangerous man to have it in the hands of. He whips it around the body. Great vision. Really nice touch onto the chest of Whitlock.
Generous.
Joel.
That is generous.
You think he meant that?
I reckon it's 4/5 of the way there, Rama.
I think you're very generous.
I reckon that's reasonably intentional.
That's good wording. Reasonably intentional.
Okay.
Let's go with that.
Okay.
Jack Whitlock is on the end of it. Had a really good day last week. 3 goals, 1 against the Eagles. 40 metres out here. He leans back on the kick, and it's another poor finish for the Power. 1 goal, 6 in this opening term. The Tigers 1 behind. 22 minutes played here on ABC Sport.
Joel, you're catching strays from our experts here. So are Carlton fans on the text line, 0437 774 774. Pete in Ballarat said, what's the toughest job in football right now? Writing the caption for Carlton's next banner. So it's probably a few Carlton fans that are absolutely copying it across the last 12 hours or so, or across the last couple of weeks, really. As Richmond work the footy all on the southern wing. It's Banks who just tries to chip it in. It goes over the top of Samson Ryan's head. Couldn't take the mark. Still Richmond with possession. Lawler can pick it up. Fires a hand pass back to Ryan. His hand pass is under pressure. Bern Jones, though, is worked off it by Lafau, who did well to allow Fall to grab the footy and keep it inside by hand passing it to Taranto. And keep it inside forward 50 for Richmond, but it will be a boundary thrown about 15 metres around from the right behind post. Richmond's attacking end. Adelaide leading by 11 points, 23 minutes played in this opening term.
Not setting the world on fire at this stage, either of these teams. Sweet takes it out of the ruck. Handball to Farrell. He wobbles that one outside the defensive 50. You reckon he meant that, Rammer?
What was the wording?
Reasonably intentional.
There it is.
Horn Francis outside the defensive 50. Now to Evans, who's got all kinds of space on the members' side. Pokes it to half forward McKinlay. He's got a man further afield in Durden. Goes himself to the top of the goal square. Berry's getting back there. Brought it down to himself. Then he had to do the post up inside the goal square. The Tigers come from everywhere. He drags it in. He's in trouble. He is gone. Joe Berry was set a task. And that Richmond defence swarmed on him. Jaden Short wins the free kick right on the last line.
So interesting there. Players know the rule. They know not to drag the ball back under. Joe Berry needed to smash that ball clear there.
That's the fourth time, I reckon, they've had a forward lead back to space and they haven't hit it.
Haven't hit.
So now Richmond have another chance to try and go end to end. They go around the southern wing. It's a string of hand passes. It's an umpire's whistle for a hold.
Oh. Like you're licking your lips with those leads. Like that's a goal. If you just mark that and hit that, that's the easiest goal in footy.
Free kick will come. Fawcett puts it on his boot and just bombs it right down the wing where a pack will form, and Sweet was there and basically marks it unopposed in the end and takes it on his chest. And he'll send it right back down that southern wing where we ping-pong.
We're at the Australian Open. We're at the Australian Open.
Nathan Broad takes the intercept mark. So we've gone from half forward to half back to half forward for Port Adelaide.
We're at the Australian Open, except we're out on course 17, Chad. And it's the 301 in the world playing against the Russian qualifier. There's just not the quality that you'd expect on centre court. As Sonsi up toward half forward. Jones tries to inject some life. McKelty Lafau thought he was still playing rugby. He just tried to run through a couple. Forgot that he had to get rid of the ball. Darcy Byrne-Jones was in there on the tackle with Jones. And so Port Adelaide free kick at right half back as they win it back up by 11. 25 and a half gone in this opening term. The only goal came at the 11-minute mark through the agency of Jacob Ware. Jones kicks along the boundary, right on the line. In fact, over the line, out of bounds on the full. Hands it back to Traynor for the Tigers in front of the members.
Traynor with a little chip kick. Back to Miller. He's at left half back for the Tigers. He's going to go straight into the corridor. And he'll chip it in where he can find Broad. And he might go for a run here, get a little pace on it. Hand passes it across to Grill. And then hand passes it backwards, to half forward where Burgoyne picks it up. Hand passes it to Wines. Hand passes it to McKinlay, who runs into Prestia, shrugs him off, then puts the kick on his boot. He was looking for Berry, but really it was anyone's ball, and Banks got there first. Hand passes it across to Short, who runs into defensive 50. And just sends a little volley across to Banks again, who gets another possession, kicks right down the wing, and here's another intercept mark on that southern wing. It's Horn Francis this time. He takes it for Port.
They build something here with some fluidity, Port Adelaide. Byrne-Jones to Ware, runs himself into trouble at left half forward. Kicks to the pocket, Whitlock from a couple back. Slapped across the line by Miller. Boundary throw in 35 out from the Port goal.
So inside 50s are 15-9 in Port Adelaide's favour. 1 goal, 6, so 7 scoring shots from those 15 entries, and they've probably left another 3 scoring shots out there just with poor entries going inside forward 50.
They're getting some good looks. Just have not been able to capitalise on it and find a system up there, the Power. Wines at the stoppage, works his way through. Handball to Berry. He handballed it straight into about 5 Richmond players. Short tumbles it out of defence. Through the hands of Jones for the Power. Ends up with Farrell. Handball to Ware. 2 kicks from home. Pokes it to the edge of the 50. Horn Francis at left half forward. 60 metres out. Socks up, just in the shade. As he now backs into the sunshine on that southern side. Tried to ease it inside the arc. A poor kick in the end. And it is an easy intercept for the rookie Sam Grill for the Tigers.
Grill takes a run, takes a bounce, has a second one as he brings it outside of defensive 50. Hand passes it across to Vlosten. Gets taken in a tackle, but still gets a little flick out to Prestia. He shrugs off a tackler and just puts it on his boot. It's a spiralling kick inside 50. And Alia with no worries, all the time in the world, takes the intercept mark. As the siren sounds to mark an uninspiring first quarter here at the MCG. It is an absolutely beautiful day for footy, and probably the footy so far hasn't quite matched that. It's Port Adelaide 1-6-12 leading Richmond, who have just kicked the one behind across that entire first quarter. Just the one goal kicker is Jacob Ware, and that was after he got a downfield free kick. So that ended up putting him almost directly in front of goals, and he was able to pop that through for Port Adelaide. So I'm sure our experts...
let's just restart, get to the huddles, and get the second quarter underway.
We'll all get to our huddles and reset as well. We'll come back with an analysis of that first quarter.
I think we need a collective spray, just from someone, just everyone in the ground. We just need a spray. Everyone needs to lift.
We're all going to lift, and we'll be back in about a minute or so time, and we'll have that second quarter coming up for you. It is Port Adelaide, though, leading by 11 points at the quarter-time break. This is Saturday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Anne Edmonds, Kitty Flanagan, Magda Zabansky, and so many more.
Good morning, everyone.
No one cares. In comedy gems like Fisk, Kath and Kim, and Bad Company.
This is No, thank you.
Comedy that leaves an impression. ABC iView.
This is the 2026 AFL Premiership season with ABC Sport.
Here's Jacob Ware. Hasn't kicked a goal in power colours in his first season at Alberton. And he's just snuck that one in. His first Port Adelaide goal and the first of the game. Good tackle from Drew inside the forward 50 for Port Adelaide. Ball spills onto the deck, 40 metres out from the power goal. Clearing kick for the Tigers to Farrell. Dangerous man to have it in the hands of. He whips it around the body. Great vision. Really nice touch onto the chest of Whitlock.
Oh, Joel.
That is generous.
Do you think he bet that?
I reckon it's 4/5 of the way there, Rammer.
I think you're very generous.
Jack Whitlock, he's on the end of it. Had a really good day last week. 3 goals, 1 against the Eagles. 40 metres out here. He leans back on the kick, and it's another poor finish for the Power. 1 goal, 6 in this opening term. The Tigers 1 behind.
The AFL on ABC Sport.
On radio.
ABC Sport Digital Radio.
And ABC Listen.
Finishing for both teams left a little to be desired in that opening term. And that was the score as we went to the break. 1-6 the Power. The Tigers 1 behind on Easter Saturday here on ABC Sport. Great to have you with us. Joel Peterson, Lauren Borden, Adam Ramanauskas, Chad Wingard and Ray Chamberlain. Your call team, of course, the Eagles and the Swans to come a little bit later tonight. Just the 2 games on this Easter Saturday. 2 more tomorrow. And then, of course, we've got Easter Monday here at the G, Hawthorn and Geelong after Good Friday yesterday. 0437 774 774 to get involved on the SMS. Luca from Largs Bay says Ollie Wine's only 8% game time and no disposals. Those big leagues being kept fresh for later in the game. Ron from Adelaide says, I'm enjoying the call and glad I'm not watching this on TV. And Brett from Canberra says, hi team, enjoying the call. When I wear my Carlton cap, people look at me with pity. Yeah, I think you wouldn't be alone on that front today. Brett from Canberra. Some news coming through on the Carlton front too. So if yesterday couldn't have gotten any worse, Will Hayward's been offered a 1-week ban for striking George Wardlaw. So intentional, medium and to the body. He would miss Thursday night gather round against Adelaide. We know that Jacob Wiedering won't be there with his concussion as well. So another experienced head that'll be missing for the Blues.
It's harder for the Blues.
Yeah, it does not. That's not going to help Michael Voss and his team's cause whatsoever. So the Power by 11 at the first quarter break. Rammer and Chad. It's been. I mean, some of the numbers here are pretty stark. Richmond 13-3 in terms of clearances, but Port Adelaide dominated the territory game so far. How have you seen it after a quarter?
It's been hard to watch. I'm a bit hesitant to say, but I don't love Richmond's setup in terms of the way that they're setting the field up. They're giving 1 or 2 spares to Port Adelaide in every single D50. You're talking about the clearances there, 13-3. Most of those are defensive 50 stoppages. And that's the reasons why, is because they've got 2 or 3 extra numbers around a stoppage. So when they do bring it out, they're getting re-entries against. And that's why Port Adelaide have been so efficient going inside 450, not on the scoreboard, but shots at goal per inside 50 entry. So Richmond, for me, with Aliir, he's had 7 intercept possessions, but in the air mainly. But you also got Kane Farrell with 6 intercept possessions. That's mainly been on the ground. So that's because they're getting numbers back to every single contest that they eventually get outside of their defensive 50. So Aliir is either marking it or Kane Farrell is whipping it up and getting the ball back to go inside their forward 50. So Richmond really, again, it might not be in their game plan, but I'd really like to see them at least give one more. Make it a 5v6 at least, because you can't allow Port Adelaide to dictate this. They're losing the meterage game. To talk about a front half footy team, they're relying on almost like a slingshot method at the moment and winning contests for 1v2 forward of the ball, which is just unrealistic when you've got such a young forward group. You don't have Tom Lynch up there to obviously force a contest in the air. So for me, Port Adelaide, I think they should be pretty disappointed, if I'm being honest. I mean, 1 goal, 6, and they had plenty of opportunities where, again, just a bit of craft from their forwards about when to lead going back, when to lead going up. So Georgiades, I thought they started so well because Georgiades is leading at the ball, that first mark inside forward 50. But besides from that, I saw way too many Port Adelaide forwards leading back to goal. You've got to have a bit of a mix. You've got to have someone leading up, someone leading back. You've got to have numerous options. So for me, Port Adelaide are just kind of kick over the top. And again, so Jason Horne-Francis running inside forward 50, put it on his shoulders. I'm either going to go for goal or I'm going to hit this kick. And he, again, did almost in between, so he did neither. So for me, again, Port Adelaide been inefficient going inside 450 in terms of the goals, and Richmond just needs to put some numbers in front of the ball.
I think when you're developing a team, you've got to say, well, this is how we eventually want to play. Now, I don't think allowing two spares behind the ball is the way Richmond want to play. So, Aliir is a real problem for Adamuse at the moment. Now, Jonty Fall just can't compete with him at the moment. Now, I'm not blaming the young man, but he's also then trying to have to get in between Bergman and just he's being asked to do far too much at the moment. So, maybe even up ahead of the ball to start with.
Port Adelaide ahead by 11 as we start the second term at the G, and straight away there's a free kick to Berry in the centre of the ground for the Power. Puts it on his left boot and gets plenty of distance in it. It'll be a very deep inside 50 entry for Port Adelaide, punched away by Broad. Picked up by McAuliffe, and he can try and curl its way outside of defensive 50, but again there'll be an intercept mark as Kane Farrell takes it for the Power. Just a little kick forward, and Ollie Wines is there.
Well, I think if Port had their way, Kane Farrell would be delivering the ball inside 50 every kick, and here he goes again.
Ollie Wines doesn't want to take the kick. He sees Farrell, hand passes to him, kicks from outside the 50, and this one's off to the left. So a minor score for Port Adelaide. That's 1-7-13. Richmond are one behind. Nearly a minute played in the opening turn. Ray Chamberlain on the boundary.
A little bit of action down here at quarter time. Jack Lukosius went downstairs with the doctor. He's come back up. It's a toe issue, but he should be fine for the rest of the day.
Thanks, Ray. Tigers back in through Banks. Kicks to Mendes side. Wines went up. Rioli punched it away from him. Spills to Burn-Jones. He goes up and down the mine shaft inside the forward 50. Someone sit under that. I think Austin did. Couldn't take it with him. Whitlock got taken high. Hard to take the big beanpole across the shoulders, but they did there. And Jack Whitlock has the chance to sink his shoe into it from 45 metres out.
Well, that's what you want from your big, young, he's a young developing key forward for Port Adelaide, Whitlock. When the ball is at ground level, him actually doing something, trying to get to the fall of the ball, create something inside forward 50.
So Jack Whitlock lines them up. Can he finish his work? Yes, he can. And the Power finally straighten up in front of the big sticks and get their second of the game. Starting to get some reward on the scoreboard. 2-7-19 to the Tigers, one behind. Two played, second term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Chad Wingard and Adam Ramanaskas, your expert.
So, Chad, you look at the first quarter as a whole. So, Farrell's had 13, Burn-Jones 10, Aliir's had 9. They're all defenders.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm getting at around Jonty Fall. They're asking him to do so much against multiple opponents at the moment. So Richmond are committing the extra numbers to the stoppage. But if you commit extra numbers to the stoppage and you're winning clearance 13-4, you can't just blast the ball out of stoppage because it just makes it so easy for opposition behind the ball. So Richmond need to use their legs out of stoppage, their hands out of stoppage to get themselves clear.
Samson Ryan tries to take it out of the ruck and we'll get the free kick, or it's Hopper rather. We'll get a bit of a blocking free from that ball up. Hopper takes it, runs through the bullseye, just goes directly inside forward 50 for Richmond with no real plan. It falls to ground and Aliir's there to mop it up, puts it out wide. Banks is trying to catch it, looking into the sun. He spills the footy. Gray comes in to help him out. He gets taken right to the ground. And there's a little bit of afters as well. And he'll be penalised for holding the ball as well. Campbell Gray. And Sweet will get the free kick. Sweet holding on to the footy at right half back for Port Adelaide. He just launches the ball all the way to half forward for Port Adelaide, and Broad is sitting at the back of Whitlock, intercepts the footy. And it'll be a Tigers ball now at left half back. They're trailing by 18 points, Richmond. Haven't kicked a goal yet in this match so far. We're 3.5 minutes into the second.
Nathan Broad back from a calf complaint, showed his experience there on Whitlock. Back to Miller, now to Prestia, just inside the defensive 50, pokes it out to Gray. Back to Prestia. He had a body closing, but got the kick away, turned it over straight through the middle of the grounds. Burne-Jones was let in. He chips it short, and diving across the centre circles was Joe Berry, like he was taking a slips catch. Off to Burne-Jones, who drives it long. Georgiades is there. And he was too good for Floston on that occasion.
Too strong, Joel. So Peter, Floston he's their intercept defender, but he's also very strong in the contest. It was a great kick by Burne-Jones because it put it to space rather than that on top of the contest. So it just allowed Georgiades to push off Floston, create a little metre of space and take a really easy mark inside forward 50.
So a couple of good looks for the Power now, after they frittered away opportunity after opportunity in the opening term. Mitch Georgiades gets a really good look at it. 35 out, dead in front, pumps it through. And they are finally starting to get going here, Port Adelaide. 3-7-25 to the Tigers, 1 behind. 5 played, second term. Mitch Georgiades with his first of the afternoon.
Well, they're going to start getting their hand on the ball, the Tigers. Now, that was too easy. So Port Adelaide have had the 12 possessions in this quarter only for 2 goals won. So very efficient with their ball movement, going inside forward 50s, 4 inside 50s to 1 to start this quarter. That's not the matchup that Richmond want inside forward 50 with Floston on Mitch Georgiades. Incredibly athletic forward Georgiades, and really that was too easy. As I mentioned, terrific kick by Burne-Jones to put it to space rather than on Georgiades' head, and easy push off and goal.
Adelaide's lead now out to 24 points early in this second term as Drew grabs it, tries to funnel it away to Butters. He couldn't pick it up cleanly. It's Prestia who can for the Tigers. And he passes it across to Short and just skies this one up in the air. Gets its way out to centre wing. McAuliffe has a go at it. He's in the end beaten to it by Wines, who takes it, hand passes it away to Watkins, hand pass to Burgoyne, who just hand passes it underground across to Lai. He's tackled, can get a little flick away towards Burgoyne, who's taken it, runs around the circle. The ball is still in the same position, just outside the benches. He can hand pass it across towards Lai, who will now put the kick into the left forward pocket for Port Adelaide. Miller had front position on Georgiades. Georgiades did well just to bat it away towards Whitlock, who tried to hand pass it away. In the end, it's Gray that picks it up for the Tigers. Hand passes it to Banks. Just tries to go with a clearing kick and only gets as far as Zatto. First game for Port Adelaide gets taken to the turf, and it is holding the footy. And it'll be a Richmond free, just at the top end of their defensive 50. It'll be taken by Short, and they're trailing by 24 points, 6.5 minutes gone in the second.
See if Jaden Short's put the lob wedge away here. He has. He drives that one up the members' side in front of our broadcast box. Fall couldn't take it with him. Alir's there again. Hands it off to Burgoyne in front of the Richmond bench. Runs a line and then kicks inside the forward 50. Georgiades established position and pulls it out of the air. So he's doing it in all kinds of ways at the moment, Mitch Georgiades, and he's got another mark, 40 from home and 15 in from the boundary.
Well, that time it was Miller as his direct opponent, and Miller was looking for the body too quickly there rather than where the flight of the ball. So Georgiades pushed back hard, established position in that marking contest, and Miller lost all sight of the ball. So once Georgiades got off Miller, very, very similar mark to the Floston contest previous.
58-42 last year for Mitch Georgiades. He kicked the last of the game. 45 metres out, and that is an absolute thing of beauty. Never deviated from centre with the set shot. Big Mitch has got a pair, and the Power opened it up to a 5-goal game. 4-7-31 to the Tigers, still stranded on that one solitary behind. 8 played, second term, Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
And Rami, you're spot on there. I mean, Georgiades, just if you're, I suppose, a tall, up-and-coming talent, like, just to watch his ability to get open and know where the ball was dropped. So a lot of people want to know to get to the contest early or like hold their ground, but he knew exactly where that ball was going to drop. He protected that space and initiated the contact, so then he I suppose, controlled that contest, got there at the right time. And his opponent was about 2 or 3 metres behind him because he knew Jack Gunston's one of the best at it. Just know where the ball's going to drop, judge it early, make your contact, then come back at the ball. But beautiful kick there.
3 goals in a row now for Port Adelaide in the second term, 4 for the match. It's from the middle. It's a clearance from Grill for Richmond. Goes inside 50 for the Tigers. It heads to a pack. Berry got front position to it. Just push it away towards Alir, who kicked as he was falling to Burgoyne. He marks just outside attacking 50. So they clear their danger end. Burgoyne will just hold on to it at left half back for the power. Try and kick it long down the broadcast wing in front of the members. Goes to a pack. Sweets at the front. Takes the mark. Almost uncontested again in the end. Hand passes it to Butters, who just chips it towards Bergman in the centre of the G. He spills it. Allows Richmond in as Green takes it and can kick it away towards Campbell. He's got it. He's only got one player ahead of him. He might go all the way to goal himself. He almost does. He's going to the goal square and Lear.
I don't know what he's seeing there, Campbell.
Gotta wait.
Oh, it's a 2-on-1 with Jonty Fall, and then Aliir and I think it was Bergman the other one. That's just not the kick going inside forward 50.
Seems that Ryan pulls in the mark. Tiger fans like that. And in front of the members, just in front of halfway. He drops a high footy to full forward through the hands of Lafau. Guess who's going to be out the back to scoop it up? Aliir, again, he's everywhere, and he gets it out to Lukosius, and now Drew's on space on the southern wing, and they can really go from here, Port Adelaide. Drew takes the mark. He's got Georgiades over the back, puts it in his direction. He comes to the front, can't take the mark. Miller did enough to worry him out of it, and then wins it at ground level as well. Handball back to Grays, a nervous one. He got taken across the top. And it'll be a free kick against Horne-Francis, going to be Campbell Gray. Might have lost the mouthguard in all of that as well, as he takes his free kick inside the defensive 50. Power by 5 goals, 10 played second term. Now the kick is smothered. He runs down Horne-Francis and gets him holding the ball. A little bit of 2-for-1 action.
He's statting up.
Yeah.
And now he just wants to flick off the hand pass and get rid of it.
He was never going to kick it again.
Short. He kicks it across to right half back where McCall a full mark. He chips it out to half back. He was looking for Banks, and then Banks couldn't mark it. And he does the tackling in the end, and Zato, and it'll be a ball up half forward for Port Adelaide. So Sweet gets a little tap out towards Butters, who comes barging through. Hand passes it to Drew, who just flicks away a hand pass very close to the boundary line. And it'll be a last touch rule that sees Grill get handed the footy for Richmond. They haven't scored a goal yet in this match, and Port Adelaide have just slowly been pushing out that margin to 30 points as Grill's kick goes to centre half back looking for Prestia. Richards comes in for Port Adelaide, can't pick it up cleanly. Ross will take it for the Tigers. Hand pass to Morris Rioli. He's brought down the tackle, just gets a hand pass away before being pinned. That was towards Prestia. His kick goes out wide to the wing, looking for Sonzi. Lukosius is there to pick it up. Hand passes it to Jones, who hand passes it to Evans, and he can kick long down the wing.
He's looking for Durden. Rising against him was Gray. Bashed it away, but Durden was back to it in a flash on that outer wing. Hand pass back to Evans of Port Adelaide. He goes looking for some support. All Richmond numbers there. Brown, Rioli. Sharp stuff from Sonsi. On over the top to Green. He finds Fall. Right on the 50 here, Jonty Fall at left half forward. He can get the journey from here.
Yeah, well, look, it's been a tough quarter and a half for Jonty Fall, where he's having to play on Aliir, but also then chase a couple of other of the Port Adelaide spares inside Richmond's forward 50.
He's been made to work. So when he gets his chance to do his work, what does he come up with? He misses away to the left. The set shot never looked like it. Second behind for the Tigers. They trail by 29, 12 and a half played in the second term. Just on Aliir, 11 intercepts in the game already.
Oh, he's dominating. But this is Adamuze's allowing that.
Exactly right. He's set up for success.
Yeah.
Port Adelaide are very happy with, I suppose, how they're owning the ground. They own the north-south. Richmond maybe have the east-west, but they're just owning both points of the ground.
Took the kick in as well towards Lai, whose kick came out to a pack, and it's Richmond that emerged with the footy. Miller can take it, hand passes to Hopper. A little chip kick towards Campbell, and we paid a mark as probably just 15. He'll chip it inside the forward 50, where there were 2 Tigers around, and Prestia claims it. He's hard up against the boundary line, about 45 metres out from goal.
So if Port Adelaide have Aliir or Bergman behind the ball as spares, they're more than happy with that setup.
100%. It's like Geelong. They will always try to generate a spare. Like Tom Stewart, this is how they thrive. This is how they set up their game plan. So if Port Adelaide are winning, if you talk about getting a game on their terms, it's definitely on their terms right now.
Hard up against the advertising hoardings. Prestia will kick this one. It's never on the line. It's out of bounds. It's on the foot.
He hasn't got his kicking boots on today, Dion Prestia.
He's definitely forgot him.
Looks like his first kick in the other pocket of the ground.
So So no changes to the score there for Richmond. They're not laughing like Ray is on the boundary. Supporters are not laughing here. It's 29 points, Port Adelaide to the good.
Farrell drives it outside the defensive 50. Gray goes to ground for the Tigers. Yeah, Georgiades laying over the top of him. Now Wine sprawls after it. Can't pick it up. That's interesting from Ross. Just buried his head into the chest of Joe Richards. Flipped the handball out on the AFL logo. Trouble. Georgiades is dragged down and he is in trouble. Ramo caught holding the ball. Big Campbell Gray, who's continued to battle away. Will take it from right in the middle. Played 4 games last year. That's an absolute sack of a kick up toward half forward. He definitely didn't mean that. He's looking for Ross. Couldn't take the mark. Wines is there for Port Adelaide. Battling hard again. Big pack of players around the footy at right half forward for Richmond. No one can come away with it. And it'll be a ball up near the junction, the 50 in the boundary. Tigers trail by 29 points, 15 played, second term. Joel Peterson, Lauren Borden, Adam Ramanaskas, Chad Wingard and Ray Chamberlain with you on ABC Sport.
Richmond with the footy. Seth Campbell close to the boundary line. 52 metres out. He'll pop it up to the goal square, hoping for a mark. It falls to ground, and Alir just soccers it away. This time it'll go straight to Ross, though. Tries to get a kick on his boot under too much pressure. Can't. McKinley's there to clean it up for Port. His kick outside of defensive 50 will be another turnover. And it's short that's marked for the Tigers.
Well, he's certainly got the distance here.
Yeah.
Now,
he got the right club.
Well, he probably needs his 5-iron.
Yes.
I would say from 50.5 metres, let's call it.
He pointed at Berry too to make sure he was standing right where he marked the
gained
footy.
an extra couple there.
Just don't use the lob wedge again.
Well, it's Jaden Short got in store. Hacks it towards goal. He swings it towards the middle, but it's still offline, and it's another behind for Richmond.
For the stinger.
Someone get a new Sharon.
A new Sharon?
Don't chuck that back in. Get one out of the bag.
28 points, Port Adelaide's lead. 15 minutes gone in this second term.
Got some territory and some ascendancy in the game, at least for now, of Richmond's. Lukosius inside the defensive 50. He just whacks it 70 metres up the middle of the ground. He drops it into the bucket for Durden. End-to-end stuff. And now Richards is on the end of it. That was just all go routes from Port Adelaide. And Joe Richards marks 30 from home. He's just good as directly in front.
That's where Jack Lukosius teases you. You see that skill level, vision, decision-making. And you just hope to see it more often in a game. Like, not very, very few players can make that kick. 60, 70 metres to a player on the run, doesn't break stride. It's a terrific play.
For all they've done, they couldn't capitalise at the other end, Richmond. And the power go, whack, straight away. And Richards converts with the set shot. End to end in an instant. And they get that margin out to a new game high at 34. 5-7-37 to 3 behinds. 17 played in this second quarter. Saturday afternoon footy at the MCG on ABC Sports.
Well, amazingly, Richmond have had more possession in this quarter. So you look at that's 51 to 48 in Richmond's favour. Inside 50s are 8 apiece. But Port Adelaide have had 5 scoring shots from their 8 inside 50s. So they kicked 4 goals, 1 this quarter. So they've been incredibly efficient. You look at that last passage of play. It's 2 kicks and an inside forward 50 for Port Adelaide. So Richmond are really struggling in their forward line with any connection, with any movement. They're relying on Jaden Short, for example. He's had 2 set shots from outside forward 50.
Back in the middle, a little tap from Butters. Moves the footy to Horn Francis. He kicks right to left half forward. No mark can be taken. There'll be a stoppage at half forward for the Power. Blossom getting up from the bottom of the pack. Footy to be balled up. This time it's foul in the ruck for Richmond. Tap out comes towards Whitlock, who can shove it on his boot and kick it into the left forward pocket. It might work out well, not quite. It's close to the boundary line. Gray dives on top of the footy and brings it in.
Well, he brought it in. No.
I agree. He's brought it in. Campbell Gray has brought it in under Georgiades.
Ray?
Yeah, that's a bad one for the umpire.
What did you see, Ray, from your position?
If a player elects to dive, drag the ball in, which Georgiades did, he has to successfully knock it clear if legally tackled. Now, they both got a hand on it early, but Georgiades drags it back under. That's one area that they've been very consistent and strong on today.
Yeah, I think we'll let this passage of play out.
They're back in possession here, Port Adelaide, and they'll get another stoppage in the left forward pocket.
I think in that example, Ray, what Chad was saying is that it was Campbell Gray that actually dragged it
underneath
Georgiades' body.
Should that be a ball up? Because a Richmond player's on top, has control of the contest.
It's a really good question, Chad. If the Richmond player is the player that does drag it under, then by all means a ball up's fine.
Yep.
So in the ruck contest, it's knocked down to Broad. The Tigers will exit. Brown kicks up toward the interchange. Bergman stands in the road, knocked it away from Fawcett. It'll get out the back to Fall, who collects it ground level. Handballs to a 1-on-2. Fawcett was absolutely smothered. And Burne-Jones comes away with it for the Power. His kick touched on the way through. Surely had to be.
Looked like it was touched. I thought it was touched.
Hopper's been paid the mark. That took a massive deviation on the way through. Hopper chips it to half forward. Fall presents again. 65 from home. Wheels round onto his right. Rioli from the...
Here we go.
Boris Rioli got an almighty sit and pulls it into the top of the goal square. And that will get the Richmond faithful going. What an incredible ride that was. We've seen him chase down tackle. He came in from wide left, got the sit, pulled in the mark. Now to add the finishing touch. He is one of the most electrifying forces in the game, Maurice Rioli. And that's a moment as good as any you'll see in the competition this year. He will be smothered in yellow and black jumpers. And maybe that gets this Richmond charge going. First goal of the game. He'll sprint to the bench. He does everything with a certain level of energy, does Morris. The Tigers 1-3-9. Port Adelaide 5-7-37. 20 played second term. A well-deserved cheer.
That was spectacular. Talk about ride, talk about situation. I mean, that ride, he actually almost took one earlier in the game, so it looks like something's happened pre-game where he's feeling himself, because he's been flying at it today. He finally pulled this one down. But if I'm Richmond, again, you're relying on spectacular to get a goal. It's taken almost a half a footy. For me, I'd almost look at North Melbourne, how they played Port Adelaide probably a couple of weeks ago. They were kicking offline. So every single kick that Richmond kick inside forward 50 has been directly towards goal. They need to kick offline, away from Aliir and away from their players who know where the ball's going at the moment. Geez, that was spectacular.
Ollie Wines out of the middle, hand passes it away. He was looking for Butters. In the end, it's a crunching tackle on Short, and it's a free that does go to Jaden Short. You can feel the Richmond fans just rising a little now as Short goes and puts a 70-metre kick inside forward 50 for the Tigers. It's bashed away. Wines chases it out. It has to do the tackling on Taranto. Ball spills out back to Taranto. Hand passes it away, and it's Seth Campbell who takes it at the top of the 50 and passes it back towards Green. A little chip kick inside 50. And maybe the Tigers might be able to build something here as the kick comes to Fawcett, who marks about 40 metres out from goal. Pretty tight angle.
Better. Little skinny lead there. You know, usually what Richard have been doing in this game is just blazing away to the top of the square and kicking it to Aliir or Bergman. On that time, I'm just a little short lead by Fawcett.
His debut against Port Adelaide last year. This one goes the same way as Prestia when he kicked from a similar position. And he's out of bounds on the full, no score for Liam Fawcett.
Maybe something down this end.
Yeah, sure.
Let's just say that.
He kicked 1 goal 3 in the VFL last week. I called him in round 1 in the VFL. I think he 1 goal for 2 goals 4. He gets plenty of footy, Liam Fawcett. Just that finishing touch. Still the question mark on his game. Evans drives it outside the defensive 50. Brown punches it away from Lukosius for the Tigers. It's back in Richmond hands. Banks dropped it in the tackle. Might have been knocked out. Lukosius chases it out toward the boundary line. Banks goes back in. Little underground hand pass. Almost worked out. Jones there for Port Adelaide. Look at Butters. Just bobs and weaves his way through the traffic. Then a beautiful little touch pass over the top to Wines. It's one of why he is one of the very best in the game, Zach Butters. And a blind kick up toward half forward. And it's a poor skill error from Jack Lukosius. Put it straight down the throat of the opposite number 12 in Ben Miller, who's off for a rare gallop across the defensive 50. Sends it wide to Lawler. Bounces on its point. Punt comes back to Burgoyne. Lawler just worked him off it for the Tigers. Burgoyne jumps back on top of Sam Lawler.
Great battle.
And they are locked up right on centre wing broadcast side of the G.
28 points Port Adelaide's advantage as we near towards, or get close up to the main break here at the G. It's Lawler. You can grab the footy, hand pass across to Taranto. He held his kick a little long and it's smothered by Farrell, who's gone down, could possibly be injured as the kick comes inside 50 for the Tigers. Fawcett's there and he'll get a free kick.
He's in a bit of trouble here, Kane Farrell.
A couple of physios and a trainer and a doctor that have run out to him, so we'll get Ray to keep an eye on that, but he hasn't moved. Essentially a leg injury there. Fawcett will back himself again from about 50 metres out, tougher than 45-degree angle. This kick is a lot better than his last one. It is sensational. What a kick from Fawcett that just shows how good he can be. He gets this Richmond second and 2 on the trot as well for the Tigers after a little bit of brilliance from Morris Rioli. Means that Richmond are 2-3-15 now. Port Adelaide 5-7-37. That margin cut back to 22 points as we get closer to half-time. It's Saturday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. Your experts, Adam Ramanauskas and Chad Wingard.
And again, it's just putting pressure on Port Adelaide. As soon as you put them in uncomfortable positions, backmen do tend to grab. And if they can't protect the backspace, like I said, looked like Georgiades before. He protects where the ball was going to drop. And just like that, Richmond held the space, and then Ali has no choice but to give away a free kick. It was actually pretty silly because I don't think he could have marked it anyway. It was probably 3 or 4 people in that contest. So, again, you put the pressure on. I would still like to see Richmond kick offline a little bit more into space for these forwards.
From the restart, Richmond with some kind of foothold in this game. Taranto with the clearance, back to Prestia, kicks inside the 50. Bergman knocked it down, spilled to Green, who steadies up, 40 metres out, kicks to the goal square, the foul, and Jones got a hand on it. It's through for a minor score, but they're doing some good things at the moment. The Tigers, they've trimmed this margin back to 21, closing in on half-time.
Let's head down to Ray Chamberlain on the boundary.
And good news for Port Adelaide. Farrell came off under his own steam, weight bearing, but it looks like a left ankle.
Thanks, Ray. Keep us posted and we can get back on the field as kick comes out. It's picked up by Butters, though. Hand pass to Burgoyne. It's a skying ball from Burgoyne to nowhere and no one in particular. Falls at the back of the pack in the end. Works for short of the Tigers. Hand passes it across to Hopper. Little chip kick to Prestia. He's marked just off the AFL logo. Waits for a second before chipping it towards Sonsie, but goes over the top of his head. It'll allow an in for Port Adelaide through Lai, who pushes it towards McKinlay, comes off his shin, and Prestia's there. Has to try and dodge around McKinlay, hand passes it away to Ross, who hand passes it to Trainer. He's offline. Inside 50 will work for the Tigers, and this is another shot at goal, and it's Fawcett on the end of it as well.
Finally, Richmond are kicking offline to a lead, not where Ali can control the contest by feeling body. So that's a great lead there by Fawcett. And again, Prestia hasn't had his best kicking day. Again, put his teammate under the pump there with a handball. But Richmond, positive signs. They're kicking to space, not kicking up in the air, in the chimney.
Liam Fawcett with his 3rd consecutive shot at goal. This is straight as an arrow. He scores. It's 3 in a row for the Tigers, and they are well and truly in this match after not scoring a goal in the opening term. Well, Adelaide's lead cut back to 15 points. It's Fawcett's 2nd goal of the match. And it's Richmond 3-4-23. The Tiger Army at the punt road end starting to get into the match. Some of the players in the centre as they make their way back to the centre circles. Most players on the field are there pushing and shoving with each other until they're finally broken up and they'll now start going back to their positions.
I was just watching Zach Butters, if he was in there. He's the most fine player in the history of the game, I think.
50 grand?
So,
yeah, what was it? It's like
ridiculous.
50 grand now that he's been fined.
Anyone who's been fined more times than Toby Green's going okay.
Yes, correct.
And a lot younger too, mind you.
Yes.
There's got plenty of time to go.
Yep. He's an agitator right up there with the best of them. He's Zach Butters. As in most things that he does, Jordan Sweet just charges in centre right.
Kick it talk, big fella.
Yeah, free kick from the middle.
Why not?
You don't get too many opportunities just to load up the talk from the centre of the MCG, so why not? Let's see how Samson Ryan goes here. He's got a decent piece of that from the centre circles. It'll land about 30 metres out, and Lockie Jones puts both fists through it. As the Tigers close with the last 3 goals of that first half. They found themselves in a real hole, 34 points down at the 17-minute mark after a goal to Joe Richards pushed that Port Adelaide lead out above 5 straight kicks. There's a little bit happening again as Jaden Short's going in for a bit of a word with the Port Adelaide players as they make their way off the ground. Zato on debuts, not being shy, sharing his thoughts, as is Mitch Georgiades. So still a little bit of push and shove out there as these two teams get separated at half-time.
Come on, the Oz kickers want to get on the field. What are you doing?
Yeah, the Oz kickers are coming from the other side of the ground to try and sort things out. So it's a 15-point lead to Port Adelaide here at half-time at the MCG. 5-7-37 to Richmond, 3-4-22. 2 goals to force in that term for Richmond. A goal after an absolute hanger for Maurice Rioli. That was the highlight of this game thus far. A pair for Mitch Georgiades for the Power. Jack Whitlock, Jacob Ware, Joe Richards also with goals for Port.
So Port Adelaide leading by 15 points at the main break after they led by 11 points at quarter time. 5-7-37 to Richmond, 3-4-24. Like you said, a couple of highlights there, Joel, when it came to that second term, at least to get the crowd on their feet after a little bit of a dour first quarter, one being Maurice Rioli's mark. And I think they enjoyed that attempt from Samson Ryan at a torp, at least from the centre of the MCG. But it is half-time here at the G. Port Adelaide ahead by 15 points. The thoughts of our ABC sport experts, Adam Ramanauskas and Chad Wingard, on the opening half.
Well, it was getting messy there for the Tigers. At the 17-minute mark, it was a 34-point lead to Port Adelaide. Then there was just a bit of magic from Maurice Rioli Jr. with a big hanger in the goal square. And that gained some momentum for Richmond in that last 7 or 8 minutes of the quarter where they're able to kick 3 goals. So you look at the numbers. Richmond are completely dominating clearance in this game, 22-6, and you go, well, that should be working in their favour. But the problem is they're kicking it to Aliir. He's had 15 possessions, 5 of those intercept marks. They're kicking it to Darcy Byrne-Jones. They're kicking it to Kane Farrell, who's been unfortunately injured late in that second quarter. And then Port's efficiency early in that quarter to take the ball from one end of the ground to the other. Georgiades in that quarter kicked two himself with 2 really good marks because he was able to protect the space in front of him. So really the decision's there for Adam Uze and Richmond. Do we even up numbers behind the ball? Do we make Aliir accountable? Do we make Bergman accountable? Or do we continue to dominate the dominance and stoppage? 22-6, as I mentioned, but they need to get more reward for that effort, more reward for that dominance around stoppage. They're plus 12 in contested possession as well that quarter, Chad. So really, I mentioned it early in the quarter. It's either, okay, we've got the dominance here. We need to find better exits out of stoppage rather than just blasting the ball away. Now, Chad mentioned in that quarter taking the ball off the line, going inside forward 50. Well, their last 2 goals was because of that. They're prepared to take the ball off the line, hit up those targets inside forward 50, and that makes Port Adelaide's defenders more accountable. So, look, it was really slipping away this game, I think, halfway through that quarter, but to Richmond's credit, they fought back late in this quarter, and that'll just have Port Adelaide worried a little bit.
I think so, and depending on Kane Farrell, I mean, that's a huge out if he can't get back into the side. I mean, he was leading intercept possessions at one point of the game after Aliir. And Richmond, again, they've got all the momentum, but again, a lot of it was on spectacular play. So that's not a way that you can win football. We don't win football on spectacular. You win it on fundamentals and being consistent in your approach. So the way that they've set up this game is, yes, they are going to value the clearance battle, but I don't think it's working for them, as you just mentioned, in their favour, because when they're going inside forward 50, this isn't an elite forward line. This is not a line where you can have 1 or 2 people that can compete against some of the best defenders in the game. You actually need more numbers to actually overcome good defence when you're under-experienced and probably undersized that Richmond are. They don't have Tom Lynch, obviously, who would actually, I suppose, help them, and that's why he's so vital to them when he is playing. But Richmond, you've got to feed off this momentum now. You've created it for the half. You've poked the bear. You've got to make sure that you deliver coming out of third in this, I suppose, after half-time. You're to come with the heat. And that's what they brought in terms of, like you said, they bring in that contest. But to be able to win their contest, they've got to make sure they have even numbers across the board to actually create that contest. Because as soon as Port Adelaide win that ball, you saw what happened when they had a kick in. And they've got the shape on the ball. They go straight through coast to coast. Because they've got probably a bit more skill level, which, mind you, is not hard on today. Hasn't been amazing skill level by foot. But you see in times of forward 50, they've got Georgiadis down the other end, who your equivalent down this end is not quite that star calibre. And you think about the star midfielders in the middle for Port Adelaide. They need a lift because you've got Butters and you've got obviously Jason Horne-Francis. And Ollie Wines actually had a really good quarter, I thought. He only had 6 disposals, but what he did is 100% efficiency, and he actually brought that grunt again. And mind you, one thing that actually Tom Mitchell spoke about throughout the week is that not enough players value the handball and are not able to actually deliver under pressure. And Ollie Wines, every time that he gets the ball, he puts that handball not just to, a person in a great position, but puts it in the momentum where they're running. So that's so valuable because it allows you to get inside to the outside of the contest so easy. And that's the value Ollie Wines brings. So put him in there, and he's been vital for him. I mean, it's only 6 disposals, but what he's done in terms of the shape around the ball, he's definitely helped.
Well, you're right, because we've been chatting about Richmond when it comes to basically the last 10 minutes of that quarter. But in the first 20 minutes, so the first 4 goals went to Port Adelaide, but they were a lot more efficient going inside 50, and it started to look like it was going to get ugly when Rummy, you mentioned, it got out to 34 points, Port's advantage. Yeah, exactly right. And Port Adelaide they haven't been great at stopping momentum. I mean, you think about North Melbourne and how they just stack on goals through and through. And Richmond did it through pure grunt work. It wasn't like yes, they got a couple centre bounce clearances, and yes, they got a free kick and a lead, and it wasn't pretty, mind you. This is not like they're getting beaten in one specific area of the game. They're just not able to shut it down. It's almost like an Aliir. I mean, he's been amazing all day, right? But he socketed a ball on the ground 10 metres out from his goal. Like, once you put pressure on this team, on any good team, any backline, if you put pressure on them where they can't just intercept mark, you saw what happened against North Melbourne for Port Adelaide. As soon as they weren't able to mark the ball, Aliir and Radikalia, and even Toddy Marshall, because they were so tall down there, that North Melbourne were able to get a hold of him. So, again, when we said who has this game, I suppose, in their mindset of how they want it to be played, Port Adelaide did for the majority of this game. But for me, Richmond kind of pulled that back, that momentum. So it'll be interesting to see if they take the lessons and can, I suppose, adjudicate that in the second half, because that's the chess match, right? You find something, and then you've got a half now to think, how are we going to adjust? And I want to see who comes out of this, I suppose, half-time break with that, I suppose, chess move.
The Morris Rioli goal about the 17-minute mark of that second quarter. So in that period to the end of the quarter, Tigers led contested possession 16-7, kicked at 78%, inside 50 6-2, and had 3 marks inside forward 50 to none. The other interesting stat from this first half: Port Adelaide just 6 clearances in the first half of the match, so their lowest first half clearance total. So those stats are kept by it since about 1999. So it's a real deficit.
Well, that's the thing. Richmond have got 2 more players at stoppage on every occasion. So, look, they should be winning those numbers, but that would be concerning for Josh Carr. It's sort of like, well, hang on a minute. How long can we sustain Richmond winning stoppage like this? But they could, because Aliir, Kane Farrell, Burn-Jones, Bergman were dominating behind the ball. But if Richmond are smart coming out of contest, out of stoppage, as Chad mentioned, taking the ball off the line, going inside forward 50, the game can change pretty quickly in the second half.
At the moment, they've only kicked a goal from stoppage, though. Both teams were minus 15 against their opponent.
And a lot of that was D50 stoppage. If you remember in that first quarter, Richmond had back, inside, out, it kept going in. So in terms of, the centre bounce clearances are super vital because you're going into even numbers. But outside of that, it's, Port Adelaide are still winning the hit-outs. They're just not getting it to the right person and even to the inside-outside battle.
So Richmond have worked their way back into this match after things were starting to look a little bit ugly midway through that second term, from 34 points down at the 17-minute mark of that second term. They're now down by 15 points heading into the main break. It is Port Adelaide, the away side, ahead at the MCG on a beautiful day for footy. 5-7-37. They're leading Richmond 3-4-22 at the main break. The second half still to come on ABC Sport. We'll just break now and head and get the latest from the ABC newsroom.
Hello, this is ABC News with David Rowlands. As the US search goes on for a pilot of a fighter jet downed over Iran, an American expert has expressed a lack of surprise it's been shot down. It comes following Iran's downing of a US F-15 fighter jet over Iran and an A-10 Warthog fighter aircraft that crashed over Kuwait. US officials say 2 pilots were rescued by US forces. However, a third is still missing, and Iran says its troops are hunting for them. Retired US Army Colonel Miles B. Kaggans from the New Lines Institute was asked about the shooting down of the F-15 jet.
The United States and Israel made significant effort in the early days of the war to suppress and defeat Iran's anti-aircraft systems. But war is war. The enemy has a vote. So it seems that the enemy has used some sort of air defense system to attack a F-15 Strike Eagle.
A judge in the United States has ruled that the Trump administration can't force public universities in 17 US states to overturn sweeping amounts of data to examine whether they've stopped considering race as an admissions factor. A district judge in the city of Boston issued a preliminary injunction at the request of those states' Democratic attorneys general who are suing over the new data reporting requirement from the Department of Education. The department has sought 7 years of admissions data on the race and gender of students to track compliance with the US Supreme Court's 2023 ruling, ending affirmative action in higher education. A leading public policy think tank says Australians are missing out on billions of dollars every year without a gas export tax. A potential shortage of gas in the eastern states over winter has prompted the federal government to threaten to limit exports unless producers make more supply available for domestic use. The Australia Institute's Executive Director, Richard Dennis, says Australia is one of the largest global exporters of natural gas, but companies here are paying some of the lowest export taxes in the world.
A 25% tax on exports would not only collect $17 billion a year, what an export tax would do is give gas companies a very good reason to sell gas to Australians. It would be the only way for them to save tax. So we'll get not just more gas, we will get cheaper gas.
Victorian police have arrested a man and a woman as they continue their investigation into the movements of Desi Freeman. Alexandra Alvaro has the story.
The arrests were made around 7 a.m. at two properties in northeastern Victoria. Police say they are associates of Freeman and not family members. They will now be interviewed by police. Freeman was shot dead by police earlier this week following a 3-hour standoff near the New South Wales border, around 150 kilometres away from where he first disappeared. He'd been on the run since he fatally shot 2 police officers last August.
A fire has caused significant damage to a home south of Brisbane this morning. Emergency services were called to the blaze on Wembley Road at Barunba just before 7:30. Fire crews arrived to find the home fully engulfed in flames. Acting Station Officer David Fitzgerald says crews were met with challenging conditions.
Thankfully that no one was inside. Some passerbys had rescued a small dog. Unfortunately, there's 2 cats still missing. However, from our searches, we're hoping that they have just they've escaped and gotten outside.
Another person has been charged over an alleged conspiracy to kill an underworld figure outside a Sydney police station. Emily Lawrence has more.
8 men are already before the courts over an alleged plot to target 30-year-old Andre Kalita outside Day Street Police Station in Sydney CBD on Christmas Day in 2023. Detectives have now arrested and charged a 24-year-old man, making him the 9th person. Police allege he was involved in preparing for the hit, including staging vehicles. He is due to face court next week. Investigations by Strike Force Barralia continue.
A 19-year-old man has been charged over a fatal crash in the Western Australian Kimberley town of Derby on Thursday night. An 18-year-old woman died at the scene when the utility in which she was a passenger rolled on mudflats. The driver has been charged with 1 count of dangerous driving occasioning death and is due to appear in court today. Police say a teenager has been arrested in Adelaide's northern suburbs after reports of a suspicious person in the area. Just before 9:30 last night, police were called to a property on Penfold Road, Elizabeth South, where it's alleged a person was going back and forth between the front door of a house and the occupant's car. This is ABC News.
Get your footy fix with ABC AFL Daily Podcast. Corbin Middlemass and Ben Cameron are joined by a cast of AFL legends to pull apart the biggest stories in Aussie rules. Search for the ABC AFL Daily Podcast on ABC Listen.
This is the 2026 AFL Premiership season with ABC Sport.
Jack Whitlock lines them up. Can he finish his work? Yes, he can. And the Power finally straighten up in front of the big sticks and get their second of the game. So a couple of good looks for the Power now. After they frittered away opportunity after opportunity in the opening term. Mitch Georgiades gets a really good look at it. 35 out, dead in front, pumps it through. And they are finally starting to get going. Kick the last of the game. 45 metres out, and that is an absolute thing of beauty. Never deviated from centre with the set shot. Big Mitch has got a pair. Hopper chips it to half forward. Ball presents again. 65 from home. Wheels round onto his right. Rioli from the...
Here we go.
Horace Rioli got an almighty set and pulls it into the top of the goal square. And that will get the Richmond faithful going. What an incredible ride that was. He is one of the most electrifying forces in the game, Maurice Rioli. And that's a moment as good as any you'll see in the competition this year. First goal of the game.
Fawcett will back himself again from about 50 metres out, tougher than 45-degree angle. This kick is a lot better than his last one. It is sensational. Liam Fawcett with his third consecutive shot at goal. This is straight as an arrow. He scores. It's 3 in a row for the Tigers, and they are well and truly in this match after not scoring a goal in the opening term.
The AFL on ABC Sport.
On radio.
ABC Sport Digital Radio.
And ABC Listen.
Hasn't been the prettiest of matches at the MCG this afternoon, but it has been punctuated by a couple of nice moments and some highlights in that second term, as you just heard in the highlights. A major one being Maurice Rioli's mark and goal, which was something that has kick-started the Tigers to 3 consecutive goals to end that second term. It means Port Adelaide's lead is now 15 points, 5-7-37. Richmond 3-4-22. Lauren Borden and Joel Peterson calling the action. Adam Ramanauskas and Chad Wingard, your ABC Sport experts this afternoon. And Ray Chamberlain on the boundary. Just repeating news, I guess, from across the day and across the weekend. Winners so far this weekend have been Brisbane over Collingwood on Thursday night, and then yesterday it was a big comeback from North Melbourne that saw North win by 10 points out of that match. Will Haywood has been offered a 1-week ban for striking George Wardlaw. It was graded as intentional, medium and to the body, so he'll miss the gather-round match up there. And Jacob Wiedering, of course, will be out as well with concussion. Fremantle defeating the Crows by 2 points in the second match last night. West Coast Eagles and Sydney to come following our match. That's where we'll be sending you at the conclusion of the match-up at the MCG. A lot of footy going on around the country. Most leagues have got underway across this Easter weekend. Rama, Chad, I don't know if you get out to the local footy. Obviously, Rama, you got a few boys playing, but have you got your seasons underway?
I was at my eldest son's first game yesterday, so for Strathmore Football Club, they played against Keilor in the under-18s, and they had a draw, actually. So it was a good game of footy. Good, hard, tough game of football. And the team I coach, the under-16s, we start next Sunday. So looking forward to it all getting underway again.
That's all your weekends
gone.
booked in for the remainder
right up until the end of August, that is. So, but no, look, it's good. They play at a good football club in Strathmore. And look, most local football clubs are good. It's great for boys and girls to get down there and play and enjoy it and, try it out.
Saw Tom Mitchell, we were talking about him pretty much in Brownlow medalist. He was playing for Greensborough in Melbourne's northeast. A huge crowd there to watch him play with his brother. So plenty getting out there and getting out to their local clubs, their country clubs throughout this Easter weekend, which is great to see in perfect weather for it as well.
Store gifts on this weekend as well. Sha'Carri Richardson, of course, world-class sprinter. If you get a chance, jump on social media, have a look at her heat win today. She runs for about 60 metres and absolutely blitzes them. What a phenomenal athlete to have grace our shores and running the stall gift this weekend.
Weather forecast for Monday, I feel like it's always raining during the stall gift.
I don't think it's going to be terrific weather that late into the weekend.
Yep.
I'll get back to you on that, Lob. I'll jump onto the app.
Okay, thanks, Weatherman Joel. Richmond 3-4-22, Port Adelaide 5-7-37. The Tigers had the momentum heading into the end of that second term, so it's whether they can bring it out here again. Both sides that have probably struggled to hold on to that momentum and consistency across the season, so this is their real chance now.
Just on a sporting front, of course, for our South Australian listeners tuning into Port Adelaide today, the NBL Game 5 tomorrow. It'll be on ABC Sports, so the Sixers and the Kings at the Sydney Stadium out at Homebush, so that will be what an electrifying series that's been. And
it's been the gift that's kept on giving.
Spicy series, hasn't it? I'm really looking forward to that Game 5 tomorrow.
So the basketball tomorrow, we've got the second half of Richmond and Port Adelaide to get underway with the third quarter. Here's Joel Peterson.
Good to see Kane Farrell back out there as well for the power. So some encouraging signs there after he got that ankle checked to start this second half. Port Adelaide with possession straight away. McKinlay kicks wide on the southern side. Shade now enveloping a good portion of the ground here at the MCG. Free kick in the contest is going the way of Richmond on the outer side of the ground. Sam Banks to take it for the Tigers. Top 10 in the best and fairest last season. Stepped up in the absence of Jaden Short through injury, and he's continued on his good form. He drives the kick up the line. Farrell takes it away off hands. Punches a high footy into the middle of the ground. Zatto back with the flight. Knocked away from him by Floston. Off the ground came Sweet. Poked it inside the forward 50. Durden gives chase. Knocks it out in front of Georgiades. Feeds the handball through to Burgoyne. 45 metres out. He steadies up. Puts it over the top. Zatto rushing forward, collects Gray, takes him to ground at the top of the goal square, and a ball up deep forward for Port Adelaide.
That's great pressure there by Zatto, the first game, and Burgoyne had some time, settled, but just didn't quite hit it. Could have been a shot on goal there for Port Adelaide.
Ryan gets a little tap out straight to Georgiades. He's mobbed by two Tigers, and it'll be another ball up. So ball locked inside forward 50 for Port Adelaide early in this match. It's Ryan who gets a tap away from Sweet. He's on the ground. Sonzi tries to tap it away. Juan Francis picks it up. He's tackled. And in the end, it's Sonzi that just tries to clear it outside of defensive 50. It's a high ball. Bergman's at the back and chasing after it. And it will be a free kick coming back to the Tigers. So fall with the footy at left half back for Richmond. Just a little unsure of what to do with it before chipping it out wide to Kane McAuliffe, the inclusion for today's match, and he just holds on to it for a little while as well. So holding on to possession here, the Tigers, until his kick isn't a great one. It's taken by Burgoyne, who can chop it off, hand pass it to Butters, and he chips right to Whitlock, who's marking just outside of attacking 50. But Adelaide have conceded the last 3 goals leading into that half-time break. Got a little bit of momentum to start here, as Whitlock looked around but then decides he'll take a set shot from here. So Jack Whitlock will have to kick from 52 metres out, a 45-degree angle. It's a good-looking kick as he lets it go. It's just faded to the right-hand side. So a minor score for Port Adelaide to start this third quarter. They're out to a 16-point advantage, 2.5 minutes played.
That was Richmond reluctant to go long down to the contest then. So Alialia set up there, and Richmond just trying to poke through to obviously avoid getting an intercept from Alialia.
He's having a telling influence on this game. He's Port Adelaide's intercept defender. On kick in from Banks. Alia can't quite make the contest, and Lawler takes a good strong mark in front of it all. Plays on by hand. The overlap run from Short here for the Tigers. Ambles his way up to halfway. Kicks to Lafau, who hasn't seen a lot of the footy in his direction today. He made Logan Evans work for it there. Bergman swoops onto it for Port Adelaide. Handball to McKinlay. Works his way back into traffic. Got the handball away to Butters, who arches the back and cruises away from a tackle. He'll get it back here off the handball from Richards. Cuts his kick aggressively through the middle of the ground now to Sweet. Just behind the centre circles. Richards came on the overlap. He flared it out in front of Durden. Durden got caught in two minds. Pokes it to the pocket. Gee, Whitlock was no chance to try and reel that back in, and then the ball did go over the line, according to the umpire. He and the opponent get tangled up, the trainer. And is it paid a behind after all that? I think they're going to have a conference here to judge whether it did go over or not. I'm not sure the goal umpire was convinced it crossed the behind line, but the boundary umpire certainly thought that it did.
You mentioned Lafau earlier. He hasn't had a touch.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
it's felt like that.
Yeah, he's had clearly a tough first half.
And you think about Port Adelaide, if I'm one of the development coaches or assistant coaches this week, I'm 100% doing back leads, hitting that kick. Where the space is, because they've actually cost themselves, I reckon, 4 to 5 goals just in this game from not executing the same skill set that's required 4 or 5 times. They haven't learnt their lesson. They've missed it 4 times, haven't scored on 3 of them.
I've had a couple of occasions where they've got to the 50 and just haven't known where to go. So a little bit off the ball here. So it was a behind in the end, but there's a free kick being paid. Jordan Sweet's been sort of knocked or felled right up on the wing. So in theory, they get the ball back at the top of the goal.
That's a bad free kick.
So the free kick from the wing will give Corey Durden back the ball at the top of the goal square after the behind.
I think it's against Samson Ryan.
We'll have a look at the replay in a moment. This is a lay-down misère for Durden. And that is an error that Richmond just could not afford to make in this game. An absolute gift for the Power to start this term. The lead out to 23 points. 5 minutes gone, third quarter. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. And that makes the task all the tougher for Adam Uze and his team.
And you talk about footy gods. Durden was the one that obviously got the free kick. Started.
So it's all right when the small forward gets
footy
the
gods,
free in this
he gets his turn, so he gets the rewards of chocolates.
I just saw the replay, and Samson Ryan, look, he clearly hit Jordan Sweet. So
he won't be playing next week.
If the umpire's there, they're going to pay that as a free kick, and Will Hayward's been offered a 1 week ban for his hit on Wardlaw, so...
Right when he gets an opportunity to.
Yeah,
it's very costly.
And that's something that the AFL's made a real point of trying to stamp out of the game. That's a pretty textbook example by the look.
Middle, it's Ross who hand passes to Prestia as Richmond get the clearance. A little chip forward here will be marked by Grill. Hand passes across to Banks, who's run to his right. He tries to dart the kick inside 50. Jones is at the front, steals it away for Port Adelaide. Hand passes it to McKinlay. Little flick pass along the southern wing. We'll find Farrell, who's back on the ground after an ankle issue late in that second term. He gets the footy across to Burn Jones. Hand pass to Butters. A little flick pass towards Horn Francis, who just dabs his kick inside 50. Whitlock's on the end of it, in some space, marks. And it'll be another set shot at goal now here for Port Adelaide as they look to capitalise on that gift that Durden had and wrangle back momentum their way.
Well, it starts with Lockie Jones in the spoil. You know, then they're able to go up that Shane Warne side of the ground, really through handball. And then Horn Francis good enough to hit that target in Whitlock inside forward 50.
So coming in now, we'll run over the red paint of the 50. Kick from 40 metres out, puts this one towards goal. And it is good. Whitlock has his second. And Port Adelaide will push back out their lead. They'll move to 7-9-51. And lead Richmond 3-4-22. 7 minutes played in this third term. Whitlock has his second of the match. He joins Mitch Georgiades as a multiple goal kicker for Port Adelaide, and Liam Fawcett has a couple on the other side for Richmond.
And their premier players got all touch the ball then. I mean, Farrell, obviously Butters and Jason Horne-Francis, and just that last kick was unbelievable as well. And Jones obviously started that. But for me, Port Adelaide just look a little bit more explosive on the outside of the contest. So you're talking about Richmond winning the contested ball, but Port Adelaide at the moment, especially this quarter, they're just getting outside them with their pace, with their speed. And you see Butters, when he just arches the back, you can't quite get him. Morris Early had a great crack to chase him down, but they're just looking a little bit sharper at the moment.
Here's Butters again at the clearance, got it from Drew. He splits the pack. Kick was touched on the way inside the forward 50. Lunging forward was Brown. Got it on the handball up to Banks. And now off to Miller, who drives it out to the southern side wing. A bouncing ball in front of Campbell. He's up to collect it for the Tigers. Retreats a little bit back to Sonsi, who skips away. Kick is a low one. Really difficult ball to try and trap there. And they've given it away. Floston couldn't do much with that. Ware on that wing for Port Adelaide. Kicks to Lukosius right on the edge of the arc. And Jack Lukosius has marked. Looks like he's gone for a boot change at half-time as well. He's at left half forward, right at the junction of the 50 in the boundary. And he is a prodigious kicker of the football. So although it is a difficult assignment, it's not beyond him.
Well, you see the confidence of the Port Adelaide players. No one's really moving because they know what he's capable of. Looks like he's going to have the set shot. Georgiades is kind of moving a little bit down there. But distance won't be an issue for him.
So Campbell Gray stands maybe not even a metre inside the boundary, and he's got his toes on the red paint of the 50. Lukosius into the field of play from 52 metres out wide. He sends it, gives it a really good ride, but didn't have the accuracy. Minor score. 7-10 plays 3-4. It's a 5-goal ball game. Port on top. 9 played. Third term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
Thanks for your messages coming through on 0437 774 774. Sia from Tasmania is loving the call. Fran from Melbourne, a lot of love coming in. What an Easter treat listening to you all, especially Chad and Rama. And Joel, is there any locality bias with that call of Kane Farrell's long kick? So he's back on the field, and
yes,
that's a nod from Joel.
There's a lot of locality bias with anything that Kane Farrell does from the
Ball is out on the wing, and again, it's Richmond will turn it over here. It's come back, ricochets back to Boston. Will have another go at it, but his hand pass in the end will get to Jones, who's holding onto the footy. Has played it down on the outer side of the field. Ball?
Yep.
So Fall will get up, and he's got a trainer next to him as well, so he might limp his way or slowly jog it.
Had a tough old afternoon as Jonty.
So there's a doctor coming out to him now, so the umpire will just hold play. He wants to stay on. So he'll stay on now, Fall. Take his place next to Alira, where, like you said, Jolly's had a tough day standing next to him across the afternoon. Butters with a long kick inside 50. No mark can be taken in the end. Brought to ground. Georgiades tries to hand pass it towards Richards. He can't take possession of the footy, and in the end just dives on top of the pack. And we'll have a ball up about 35 metres out of Port Adelaide's attacking 50. They're 30 points to the good. 7-10-52 taking on Richmond 3-4-22. 10 minutes played in this third term.
Side forward 50 for the Port Adelaide team, and a free kick out of that contest. Ollie Wines got the handball away. Might not have got a hand to the handball, if you know what I mean. And Sam Lawler made the tackle. 30 metres out from his defensive goal. He's got the footy. Joel Peterson, Lauren Borden calling the action for you. Adam Ramanauskas, Chad Wingard, your experts. Ray Chamberlain's on the boundary. Of course, West Coast and Sydney still to come this evening. Lawler sends it wide through the hands of Lockie Jones. Couldn't take it as he tumbled to the turf. Forced it, dragged it in. He had a couple of Port players jump on top of him. And we'll have a ball up centre of the outer wing. Glorious day for footy here in Melbourne. Cool breeze coming out of the south, so it's a relatively crisp day, but clear blue skies and perfect conditions for footy as Wines changed to Butters by hand, now to McKinlay at left half forward, kicks deep, over the head of Georgiades. Gray's there to bash it away from Lukosius, and another forward 50 stoppage for the Power.
Ball will be tossed in deep inside their forward 50 as well. A couple of goals to start this third term in the same vein that they did to start the second term. And now ahead by 30 points. Their game high was 34 points midway through the second term. Tosses the ball back in. It's Sweet. You can get a little tap out. Banks is there to try and collect and gather for Richmond in the end. He can't pick it up cleanly. He has to tackle Ollie Wines to the ground. We'll have another ball up deep inside Port's attacking 50. This has been solid in defence for Richmond. It's picked off from the stoppage from Sweet. Takes it, rows it, kicks and goals. And there's a game high lead now for Port Adelaide. They're out by 36 points. Quick work from Sweet there. 8-10-58. The Power are now leading the Tigers 3-4-22. 12 minutes played in this third term, and any of the sting or any of the enthusiasm that Richmond had at the end of that second quarter seems to have just died away a little bit there. Port Adelaide ahead by 36 points. Saturday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
He won't like the replay of that, Samson Ryan. Just pushed aside. Inside forward 50 for Port Adelaide stoppage. And it was a really strength test between Jordan Sweet and Samson Ryan. Sweet just far too strong then. Pushed him aside, grabbed it out of the ruck. Snapshot, easy goal. So, and it's a good lesson. Good lesson for the young ruckman, where you got to position yourself a lot better than. He should have been the one pushing Jordan Sweet to the boundary rather than Sweet pushing him to the boundary.
Only had 9 hit-outs last week, the Tigers, without Toby Nankervis in the team. That ruck spot is an issue for them. They just don't have the backup in tow to try and make it work. As Port Adelaide with another clearance from the restart. Ware to Berry, low left foot kick to half forward. Lukosius can't end up on the end of it. And a throw in at the junction of the 50 in the boundary. 8 inside 50s to 1 in this term. 44 disposals, Port Adelaide to 23 of Richmond. So dominating possession and the territory battle. Ball spun back in. Ryan got front spot. Whitlock reaches over the top, knocks it down. Umpire quickly comes in. Ollie Wines can't come away with the footy. And we'll have another ball up right on the edge of the 50. Port into attack. Hopper off the stoppage. Just bangs it clear back the other way. Making a good contest that time was Fall. Almost brought it in. Handball to Green, who runs in an arc on that outer side wing and then kicks forward. Finds a good target. Lawler's got it between the wing and half forward.
Spins the footy, then decides to retreat. He goes back to Broad, who marks. Still southern wing of the ground. Broad puts it on his boot and will kick into the centre of the MCG, where Miller can mark in the centre square. They'll complete the switch as he kicks it across to Trainer. Just a little kick inboard will find Prestia. It's the ball back in the centre of the G. Hand pass to Miller, who's kept running, then wants to dab the kick inside 50. Good approach from the Tigers. Good ending with Lawler taking the mark.
And that's probably their best ball movement we've seen all day in terms of owning the east-west, going from one side to the other, using the open side, and then cutting back in. So that angle and changing it, where they mark that ball, I think at Prestia, it actually opens up the whole 50 for the forwards to start moving. So then you're not just sitting on your heels waiting for the ball to come to an earlier contest. So that change of ball movement, even the handball receive, just puts the defenders on the back foot. And what a great finish. Hopefully, if it's a set shot from about 45, going to have to kick it from about 50 just before.
Sam Lawler started the chain. He's on the end of it. He likes this kick when it comes off his boot. And he ends the chain with the 6 points. Richmond cut back the margin to 30 points. It's the Tigers now 4-4-28. Port Adelaide 8-10-58. 15 minutes gone in this third term. And Sam Lawler gets his first goal of today.
That's only their second inside 50 for this quarter. So it's 8-2. In Port Adelaide's favour. So the ball is really lived in Port Adelaide's front half in this game. Port Adelaide 3-3 for the quarter. So 6 scoring shots from 8 entries. They've been extraordinarily efficient going inside forward 50. Richmond, right, it's still there. It's a 5-goal margin, but you can pick up 5 goals in AFL football pretty quickly now. So no, they don't want this margin to stretch out anymore. No, if they can get another goal or two before three-quarter time, it's really game on in the last quarter for the Tigers.
Had that big lead early last week, Port Adelaide over West Coast, before they let that slip. So the game is there to be taken if the Tigers can grab some ascendancy in the contest here. Hopper will get a free kick after being taken high in the middle of the ground. He's going to pump it inside forward 50. Fawcett will make a run at this. He might have got a shove in that contest. Aaliyah comes away with it, throws it onto his boot. McAuliffe's there. Tough stuff from the young Tiger. Hands off to Campbell. Up and down the mine shaft. Coming across was Lai to knock it down. Straight to Ross. A little feint. Steadies up. Straightens and misses.
I'm only laughing because I saw Morris Rioli jump to the deck so his teammate could view the goals better. That's I think your teammate, isn't it?
Gap within 5 straight kicks now as the Tigers get a minor score there. It's 58-29, Port in charge.
Burne-Jones with it in the left back pocket, puts it on his boot very close to the boundary line. It'll be a turnover here. Gray's marked it for the Tigers. He's got the footy just forward of centre wing, below the Great Southern Stand. Pops it to a pack that's forming inside forward 50. Aaliyah gets good position, can't take the mark. Ball spills out of his hands. Lies there to try and gather it. He has to push it out from his position on the turf. Gets it towards Richards, and he is wrapped up for a ball up inside forward 50 for the Tigers.
They need to kick it shorter, like a 3-quarter kick. They're kicking it where Aaliyah can push his opponent underneath the ball. Need to let it a little bit shorter.
Forcing in ruck this time. Horn Francis kicks it out of there for the power. It bounces its way out toward the boundary. Lukosic gets a hand on it before it goes over to make sure there's no lasso free kick. It'll be tossed back in. Attacking side of the wing for Richmond.
And it is a skill set. It might feel, unnatural to not kick to a person kicking to space, but Richmond, you can see they do need to kick to a space and acknowledge where that position is for the best for their forwards. So unfortunately, they're just kicking it on top of their heads at the moment.
Chad Wingard and Amram Anaskis, your experts this afternoon on ABC Sport. Ware with a chance at the stoppage. He ran out of room out on the boundary line and didn't elect to keep it in. So insufficient intent to try and keep that alive from Jacob Ware. Fair enough from the umpire too. And Prestia brings it back into play. The trainer drives it inside. Deep entry again for the Tigers, and again Port Adelaide's got the aerial presence to kill the contest. Lai whacks it back the other way. High footy to the outer wing. Zatto from the back, can't take it. Trainer's there, the last line for Richmond. His hand pass. He had a teammate pushed off it. Now it lets Port Adelaide in. Farrell got mown down in the middle. Picked off by Morris Rioli, who's showing all his wares today. He flares the kick up to right half forward for Richmond.
And Farrell still down after copping that as Santi does the kick inside 50. Liam Fawcett's marked.
Terrific by Morris Rioli Jr. Just sweated on Farrell getting that handball received. And it just struck at the exact moment that he needed to. And it did. Took the wind out of Kane Farrell. That was a heavy tackle.
He's lifted the team already once in the second quarter, Morris Rioli. Can he do it again with the tackle here? Now ends with a Fawcett shot at goal. From a tight angle, he kicks right from 50, and this one is offline and won't even register a score for Fawcett. So he's just got the 2 goals. He can't add to that at the moment. So Port Adelaide's lead is maintained at 29 points, 19 minutes played in this third term.
It's amazing how you can go from hitting the dead centre of the goals to completely missing. Like, it feels like it's a 50-50 shot for him.
He's got 2 goals and 2 out of bounds on the foot. It's real boom or bust type stuff for Liam Fawcett. Rioli wins it back, kicks to the pocket. Fawcett's the target again. Bergman's in front of him, slaps it out of play. It'll be tossed back in. Right forward pocket for Richmond at the punt road end of the grounds. Spectators at that end, the last remaining in the sun here at the MCG on this Easter Saturday. Great to have you with us on ABC Sport. Tigers trail by 29 points. Ball tossed back in. Fall won his way to front spot. Sweet reached over the top. Umpire oscillates around the pack and says, I'll have it, as Josh Lyon and Sam Brill pick themselves up off the turf inside forward 50 for Richmond. Sweet again commands front position in the contest. Rips it out of the ruck. He palmed that ball up in the end. Horn Francis gave a free kick away. And Sonsi will take it from Richmond for right half forward. What can he create inside the arc? He chips it wide, finds Short. Rammer and Chad have spoken about the way they kick inside the 50 and what they need to aim for. So Short centres it up within 20 of goal. Dangerous spot. Big rise from the back came from Fawcett. Aliir juggled it, claimed it, not paid. Goes to ground. And the ball up 20 metres out from the Richmond goal.
Bit unlucky there.
Yeah.
Looked like he had every piece of that.
Yep.
So it'll be a ball up inside Richmond's forward 50. Tapped away straight towards Wines, just trying to dig it out in the end. Taranto can hand pass it to Campbell. He loses possession. Farrell just tries to put a kick outside of defensive 50. Mopped up by Broad, who goes back inside for Richmond. Punched away, gets to the boundary line, gets to the goal line rather. The pass doesn't quite favour Bergman. He's got to take the footy. He gets tackled. Holding the footy. Steely Green wins the ball, wins the free kick for Richmond right on the goal line.
Talk about a game of inches.
Yeah,
like, he's
pressure.
right on that goal line, and he's, with all his strength, trying to keep him from not going out of bounds, not from hitting the post, not going over the point line. That is a sensational tackle and a show of strength.
He's almost just taken a moment there just to breathe in, suck in a deep breath.
He just exhausted himself trying to keep him in the play.
And he gets this shot now. Richmond down by 29 points. Late in this third term. The snap towards goal is across the entire face. It's another out of bounds on the full for Richmond. This one from Steely Green. So 29 points, it'll stay.
Had their chances in the last few moments, the Tigers. Aliir's kick outside the defensive 50 is awful. Marked by Sonsi. He's got options everywhere inside the arc. Taranto's on short. He can go deeper than that. Fawcett will be the target. Coming over the top. Can't take the mark. He stepped through his teammate Green. He's kicked it into his own teammate in the goal square. He had the chance. It opened up for him and he kicked it into Jonty Fall's back.
I don't like that. We're talking about inefficient intent. Bert Jones just handballed that 10 metres over the line. Like, what's it? I just don't like it. I know the rolling
Under
is...
pressure. Is it within 9 metres?
But I just still don't like it. You've handballed it 20 metres into the stands.
Last 4 scores have all been behinds to Richmond. As the kick out comes from Farrell. It's a long one towards centre wing, outer side of the ground, to Horn Francis, who takes it, hand pass to Burgoyne. Flips it, chips it backwards rather, to Watkins, who tries to kick it away. But again, it's a Richmond intercepting ball they can put inside forward 50 and earn themselves another shot at goal. A mark inside 50. And it'll be Steely Green again. So we just didn't get that snap right a few moments ago. And now he gets an opportunity. This one will be from about 25 metres out, tougher than 45-degree angle, but certainly not as tough as his last.
Well, it's just got to capitalise. So they've missed probably 2 that they should have in those 4 behind. So they just keeps the scoreboard pressure ticking over.
Looking for a spark here. Steely Green, and his face said it all.
Definitely
Put his hand to his face. And that's a behind for Richmond. That's 5 in a row for them. It's 28 points the margin now, Port Adelaide's way. And Richmond could be a lot closer by this point in time.
Tigers fans will be feeling pretty green after they see that chat.
Here we go. Where's the book? Where are they? Where's all the names?
Bergman. Zaddo takes the mark. Had a mark with his first possession today. Mitch Zaddo.
That's usually Ben Cameron's territory, those sort of lines.
Don't bundle me with Benny. Come on.
Well, I didn't want to, but you're sort of taking yourself down that path.
I would have thought it was a little bit better quality than what Benny comes out with occasionally, as Bergman sends it wide. Sweet will pull in the mark, flips the handball over the top now to Burn-Jones. He pokes it up toward half forward, and that'll roll out of play in front of third and last touch. Free kick coming to Nick Floston. In defence for Richmond. Port Adelaide 8-10-58. Tigers 4-7-31. As Loz said, it's been all the Tigers doing the scoring in a minor way recently. Port Adelaide's last goal of this term coming at the 12-minute mark, so they haven't kicked one in 13 minutes.
Broad puts this kick right down the line, and that's a beautiful pack mark. It's Fawcett that takes it, holds on to it, and then just wants to kick it long inside 50 as well and get the ball moving. Fowles at the back and get ahead of his opponent to take the mark. It'll be a stoppage inside forward 50. And a good mark there from Fawcett as well as the kick came down from Broad. And now it's a stoppage inside forward 50 for the Tigers. It's tapped down straight to Burgoyne, who just clears the kick into some space if he can. Ryan can chase after it. He won't be first for the footy. Trainer was. He couldn't pick it up cleanly. It'll allow Whitlock in for Port. Hand pass to Berry. Hand pass to Horne-Francis, who can take a bounce. There's no one ahead of him. A second bounce. He's 55 metres out from goal. He's backtracking. He's waiting. He's shifting left, shifting right. He doesn't know what to do with it. He's still indecisive. He finally gets the kick away, and that is a turnover. He was so indecisive. I don't think that was going to end any other way. He's just chipped it straight to Miller.
Well, that's
the whole of the 50 ahead of him.
That is outstanding by Sam Drill. Just defensive pressure. Didn't allow Horne-Francis any little bit of space to make the right decision.
Corral. And now they come back the other way. Kick up to Rioli, to Lawler, into the pocket for Lafau. It's been paid. As he stepped and tried to keep his feet in play, it did look like he bobbled it over the line. And McKelty Lafau, who has not touched it before this, has a shot from the left forward pocket 30 metres out. He'll start his approach from beyond the boundary.
We're due to see a snap go in.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Argent is 27 points. Lafau comes around and misses with his first kick of the day. Another behind for Richmond. 4-8-32, 8-10-58 Port Adelaide. And the Tigers keep frittering away opportunities.
Berglund to take the footy in for Port Adelaide. Just get some distance on his kick again. Out to the southern wing where most of the footy has been throughout this afternoon. And can hold on to the mark. Happy to just hold on to it and decide what to do until, in the end, just bombing it to left half forward where it'll be another turnover. Trainer intercepts with the intercepting mark for Richmond. Takes it. Just chips it forward towards Short, who thumps it on his boot. Can get it almost all the way to half forward. Aliir's at the back of the pack. Might have been a little shove. Not quite. Aliir will be paid the mark.
Such a poor kick.
Yeah.
Chips it to Butters, who then hand passes it away to Watkins, kicks it to left half forward, close to the boundary line. Richards can run onto it here. He keeps it in play, just dabs the kick to the left forward. Pocket Durden's there, marks.
Is that a back lead and a hit?
Finally, Chad.
1 from 7.
So Durden.
Please hit this snap, because as a small forward, I'm starting to get a bit anxious and a bit nervous.
Can Corey Durden snap it from just inside the boundary line? His opportunity now. Takes a couple of steps, puts this on his boots, and that one is as good as the rest of them. A minor score.
I'm coming down to Alberton.
Port Adelaide's lead now 27 points. It breaks a run of 6 consecutive behinds to Richmond, with another behind to Port Adelaide.
One thing that's been consistent with everyone that had a snap today is they've done it within the first 2 steps. They're not trying to open up the angle enough.
Yeah.
Wouldn't offer your services, Chad. You might be too busy the way we're going at the moment. There's plenty that are missing them and might need your help. Free kick to Samson Ryan on the exiting kick for Richmond, in line with the back edge of the centre square. He's got the overlap support now. Scooting past comes Trainer, who bashes it up the wing, and Aliir gets another intercept mark. Also thought he was worked under it.
He's just dominating Aliir.
But he should be thanking every single Richmond person that's kicking to him, because they're kicking it to his advantage every single time.
There's been a one-person wall back there today. Has the All-Australian defender. Butters So Georgiades on the back point of the centre square here for Port Adelaide. They kicked 3 goals in a rush to open up the quarter. Richmond with the most recent goal in the game. That came at the 15-minute mark as Brown comes over the top in defence for Port Adelaide. A horrific kick back to Whitlock. Straight to him, but the power run out of time as Joe Richards kicks a torpedo on the run 60 metres that goes through. And it came after the siren. On any other day, that would have been quite the highlight from Richards. But he was a couple of paces after the bell. And Port Adelaide will turn for home up by 27 points. It was a quarter in which they dominated the first part of it. Richmond wrested back the territory advantage. They kicked a goal at the 15-minute mark and then had shot after shot after shot, kicked 4 behinds in that ensuing period to close the quarter. And they trail by 27 points at three-quarter time. 4-8-32 the Tigers. Port Adelaide 8-11-59. A couple of goals to Mitch Georgiades, a couple to Jack Whitlock as well for Port Adelaide. A goal to Jordan Sweet in that term. Joe Richards and Jacob Ware also have goals in the game so far, as does Corey Durden. For Richmond, their goal in that quarter came through Sam Lawler. Liam Fawcett has a couple, and Maurice Rioli with the highlight of the day with a set shot after his stunning mark in that second quarter.
A few shades of that first quarter coming through in that third quarter again, as it was a little bit of a scrappy affair. But it is Port Adelaide, like you mentioned, Joel, ahead by 27 points. After this match, we'll be headed to West Coast and Sydney at Perth Stadium, and that's where we'll be heading in just a moment to get a full preview of that match. At three-quarter time, it's Port Adelaide 8-11-59, Richmond 4-8-32. It's Saturday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Are there any winners in the cost of living crisis? What's causing the algal bloom?
Questions. They've never been more important. So the one thing we'll never question is our duty to keep asking. ABC News. Keep asking.
This is the 2026 AFL Premiership season with ABC Sport.
So the free kick from the wing will give Corey Durden back the ball at the top of the goal square after the behind. This is a lay-down misere for Durden. And that is an error that Richmond just could not afford to make in this game. An absolute gift for the Power to start this term. The lead out to 23 points.
So coming in now, we'll run over the red paint of the 50. Kick from 40 metres out. Puts this one towards goal. And it is good. Whitlock has his second. And Port Adelaide will push back out their lead. Sam Lawler started the chain. He's on the end of it. He likes this kick when it comes off his boot. And he ends the chain with the 6 points.
The AFL on ABC Sport.
On radio.
ABC Sport Digital Radio.
And ABC Listen.
So Port Adelaide still maintaining a fairly comfortable 27-point lead here at the G, despite Richmond having plenty of opportunities in that third quarter, just not able to make the most of them. They're Port Adelaide ahead by 27 points. It is West Coast and Sydney coming up after us. That's where we'll take you to next on ABC Sport. Clint Wheeldon's heading up the commentary team in the West. A big hello to you, Clint.
Yes, thank you, Lauren. West Coast against Sydney has been lopsided in recent times. Sydney have won the past 5 matches by an average of 84 points. The Eagles, though, looking for a third straight win for the first time since round 7 to 9 of 2021, and they were super impressive the way they hung on to beat Port Adelaide last weekend. That 2-point win thanks to a wonderful clutch grab by Shanahan late in the game. Sydney will be celebrating Tom Papley's 200th. Hopefully he's got a decent celebration in line if he does kick a goal today. But what's going to make it hard for West Coast is a couple of big outs. Elliot Yeo and David Robertson have provided big bodies in the midfield, and that's where West Coast have certainly improved in their past 2 games. Hopefully it's a competitive one for the Eagles up against the Swans here in the West. I'll be joined by Mitch Turner, and alongside them, Shane Woden, Sharad Willingham and Bridget Lacey will be on the boundary. It's all to come, Lauren.
Thanks, Clint. Big Easter Saturday to come across your radio on ABC Sport. A couple of games today, Richmond and Port Adelaide here at the MCG, the late afternoon game and then the night game as well. Coming up after us, it is Port Adelaide ahead by 27 points here. Lauren Borden and Joel Peterson are calling the match. Adam Ramanauskas and Chad Wingard, our experts, and Ray Chamberlain's down on the boundary for us. But Chad and Ramo, when you look at the fourth quarter that's to come, Richmond kind of had their chances to stay within touch. They're not quite as close as they would have liked. Do you think they can come through and surge and take the win, get their first win of the season?
Well, they're going to need everything to go right. I mean, Port Adelaide were playing Russian roulette, and lucky that there was no bullets in the chamber, because Hawthorn really could not hit the scoreboard at all, because they had all the opportunity, all the chances, and it's probably the best quarter in terms of their ball movement, their intensity, their effort, and again, they just couldn't win that quarter. So for me, it's a big ask, because it means they're going to have to do what they haven't done all game, and that's outscore Port Adelaide for a fair chunk of this game by a significant amount. So they're going to have to double their score already over 3 quarters in one. So it's a big ask, but for me, the momentum's in their side. But they've had the shots. They need to execute. But down this end, we've seen a fair few misses down here. So Port Adelaide, for me, is a bit concerning as well. If you're thinking about Richmond, obviously, you assume they're going to be down the bottom of the ladder. And Port Adelaide, those turnovers that they've had, especially through the corridor, good teams are not going to let you get away with that. So, and we saw that against, I'm not sure where North Melbourne sit in terms of good team, bad team, but they were able to, I suppose, hurt Port Adelaide on the rebound. So they need to sharpen up a fair bit, Port Adelaide. I mean, they should be coming away strongly with this game. But Richmond, again, good signs that you actually got the energy and momentum. You're still in this game, unlike last week where you probably chucked in the towel a little bit and they had significant shots against, where this is definitely a much more competitive game. And like I said, some highlights as well. So, I mean, Morris Mioli, some great marks, some great tackles. So for me, if you're Richmond fans, you're pretty happy with this kind of display compared to what you've seen recently.
Interesting to see that it was the only quarter in which they lost clearance in that quarter, Richmond, but they won the tackle count 18-7. So their pressure was really good. They had the desire to try and win the footy back, and they just could not put it on the scoreboard. 3-4 in the end to Port that quarter, to 1-4 of Richmond, and hopefully the word demoralised has come up a little bit recently, Loz. Hopefully the Tigers aren't that after missing those opportunities.
We'll see. We'll see early on in this fourth term. Port Adelaide ahead by 27 points. It's from the middle. Boston takes it. Hand passes it towards Prestia. 2 hands, taps it towards Samson Ryan, who just fumbles out a hand pass towards Taranto. Little chip kick to centre half forward. And it'll work for Grill. Almost 55 metres out from goal. He's going to hold on to it here. Almost indicate that he's going for goal. It's a big kick.
He's gone all the way back to the centre circle as well. It's like Ben Brown's taking a second row.
Mitchell Stark.
He's probably going to run 25 metres here, just on his lead up, to get every little bit on this kick that he can muster. He gives it everything he's got. It will fall short, though, and it'll be tapped through for a behind. So just another behind to start this fourth term for Richmond. It's back to 26 points, Port Adelaide's lead. Port 8-11-59, Richmond 4-9-33, early stages, final turn.
Chalked that up as a learning experience for Sam Grill. He went so far back, Chad, and then he kicked it from about 7 metres behind the man on the mark.
He ran further than he actually kicked it.
Gave himself no chance in the end. Long kick in from Jones from fullback for Port Adelaide. Burgoyne takes it off hands. Farrell's been caught a couple of times, and Sam Grill just starts to earn some of it back. Farrell didn't give him the ball back. He just kind of backhanded it into the ground. The umpire said it was okay. Taranto, and now Flostone across the forward 50 to McAuliffe. Tried to reel it in with his left hand at half forward. He pokes a low kick inside the forward 50. Ryan had to go to ground for Richmond to try and pull that footy in. He's 49 metres out when he's tackled, and we'll have a ball up. Tigers trail by 26 points early in this final term. Trying to create a comeback in this game. Free kick in the ruck contest won't help that. And big Jordan Sweet will take it inside the back 50.
Sweet holding on to the footy, gets the hurry up from the umpire, and again just thumps it on his boot. We've seen plenty of that today. Kick to a contest, it falls at the back. Whitlock's there, overruns it in the end and can't pick it up. It allows Richmond an in. So it'll be a kick inside 50 from Grill now. He goes to a contest where Lear's at the back. He's tussling with Fall, and in the end it's Farrell that sees it over the boundary, over the goal line rather, for another minor score for the Tigers. So a long kick in hope, and it's a minor score for the Tigers. Port Adelaide ahead by 25 points, fourth term here at the MCG.
Oh, Farrell with a dangerous kick in. Gee, Richards only just got his hands to that as Taranto closed at a rapid rate. 30 metres out from his defensive goal. Joe Richards, former Magpie, chips to Willem Drew. He spins the footy in his hands. Now MCG completely covered in shade on this beautiful Saturday. Clear blue sky ahead. Bergman's got her in front of the members' stand. Doesn't see a lot that he likes. Fluoro yellow boots on, kicks with the right one up toward half forward. Whitlock gets those arms extended and drags the footy in. Ryan and...
He's looked good, Whitlock, today. Done some nice things.
200-centimetre prospect out of Shepparton. Goes short to Wines. Another GV product. Kicks long to the pocket. Horne-Francis in front. Goes to ground. Can't juggle the mark. Richards is there to apply the pressure for Port Adelaide. Locks the footy up and a ball up 40 out from the Port goal.
And there's only a small thing there, but that kick was actually to the advantage of Jason Horne-Francis, where, again, Richmond just had a kick inside their forward 50. It was actually to Aliir's advantage. So just small things. It can be just a metre of that kick. But it's the effort to show where I'm putting it in the, I suppose, advantage of my forward.
Francis gets a little kick out, but it's Broad that can pick it up, and he chips it towards Miller, who fumbles it in the left back pocket. In the end, gets away from Georgiades. Hand pass to Broad, hand pass across to Brown. He's still in defensive 50 for the Tigers, and Brown will place it on the outer side of the ground. And Morris Rioli marks this one ahead of Burn Jones too. With some nice work. Chips it towards Prestia. Centre wing, Prestia will mark. Drew kind of goes back to the mark, and Richmond fans want 50. They don't get it. Prestia takes it, and will just start to kick inside forward 50, looking for Grill. He left it. Aliir was at the back to intercept the mark, and he can just chip it away to Bergman.
Another opportunity for the Tigers, building it up. A kick just that couple of % off. Burgoyne now to Berry. Left half back for Port. He kicks over the top, and Jones got Grill across the shoulders as he spoiled it out of play. It'll be tossed back in front of the Richmond race. Bill Peterson, Lauren Borden, Adam Ramanauskas, Chad Wingard and Ray Chamberlain with you. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. West Coast and Sydney still to come tonight. A couple of games tomorrow. We'll be back here on Monday for Hawthorn and Geelong. The annual blockbuster here at the home of footy on Easter Monday. Wines at the stoppage. Crafty work. Handball to Butters, and he sold Richards into traffic. Wonderful hand pass in mid-air. Flipped it over his head to Burn Jones. Now back to Butters. To Bergman. Pumps it inside 50. Horne-Francis battles with Broad. He got absolutely collected by Gray in the marking contest. And a free kick will go to Jason Horne-Francis, 30 from home.
Well, if Gray's hit the ball, that's not a free kick. So I'm just waiting for a replay on this contest. It's terrific courage by Campbell Gray going back. Oh, I think he's a bit unlucky here.
Hit him across the shoulder there with the outstretched arm.
It's there, unintentional, but I think it's there. That's probably a bit of Harlem Globetrotters in terms of that ball movement, though. It was a bit of over-the-head handball. That was probably the most spectacular passage of play we've seen today. Only rightly so, surely they can finish it off.
John Richards is right at the centre of it. This from Jason Horne-Francis to push it back beyond 5 kicks. He straightens up and finishes, and might have just put it beyond Richmond's grasp. Jason Horne-Francis with the class to finish, and pushes Port Adelaide's lead back up to 31. 9-11-65. The Tigers are 4-10-34 before Rammer and Chad. Let's check in boundary side. Ray Chamberlain.
Yeah, it's an interesting marking contest when your defender comes back with the flight of the ball. You remember one down here in the finals last year, Starcevic and Elliott forward of the ball. If you don't flush the ball clean, you're going to concede free kick. I think that's a warranted free kick.
Sorry, Ray. So just to elaborate on that a little bit more, even if you make body contact, so that body contact there was probably a little bit high.
Yep.
But if he makes body contact with eyes on the ball, the umpire would still give that as a free kick?
Not necessarily, Rammer. Like eyes on the football, contesting the football, you're allowed to contest the football, absolutely. But if you come from front on and you don't get the footy, you're more likely going to concede a free kick.
Farrell with a long kick inside 50. Horne-Francis goes again. Lukosius was at the pack. Lukosius goals quickly from the centre into forward 50. And that is 2 in a row in very, very quick succession for Port Adelaide to put this game beyond the reach of Richmond. They've tried to stay in touch. They missed some of their opportunities, but it will be difficult for Richmond to come back from here. 37 points is now Port Adelaide's lead. It's a game high to the power. 10-11-71. Richmond 4-10-34.
Well, he's got to work, Zach Butters.
Yeah, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And Farrell as well. I mean, that's a long entry kick. Jason Horne-Francis, he didn't mark this, but he's the one that created the contest to obviously give Lukosius that ground ball. So, again, the star players starting to lift for Port Adelaide. And like I said, the clearance battle as well. They're starting to get at the front of the stoppage. good footy all around him. I mean, we thought the floodgates were going to open, but it's only taken till halfway or start of the fourth for it to come.
Port with 2 in a minute. Might have another chance here from the restart. Drew just paddled it out in front of himself. Toe poked it forward up to Zada. A couple of Tigers collide. Sweet grabs the footy. Shrugs himself at the tackle. Kicks to the edge of the 50. Lukosius juggles the mark. Not much Campbell Gray could do about that. And Jack Lukosius can just go back and ease this one goalward from 50 metres out.
He's been impressive today. I mean, he's had a few good marks. He's got a great kick. That goal was very warranted, I thought. I mean, he had a shot from just out on the corner of the junction 50 in I think it was the first quarter. He's a player that I think has tremendous upside, honestly. I love the way he moves the ball. Whether you said playing him at the half-back or forward, he's just going to have an impact wherever he goes.
He trots in, strikes it from outside the 50. And he's just got it there, Jack Lukosius. Back-to-back goals for him. 3 in no time at all for the Power. And they have broken the game open in a heartbeat. It's now out to a 43-point advantage. And this threatens to get away from Richmond very, very quickly, as we've seen in the last couple of weeks. 11-11-77 to the Tigers, 4-10-34. 9 played last term, and now it's time for the Tigers to really buckle down.
Well, it's the big fella, Jordan Sweet, who was able to shrug Dion Prestia off in a tackle on centre wing. If Prestia's able to hold Sweet in that tackle, that doesn't allow the ball to go inside forward 50, doesn't allow Lukosius to mark.
That was the slowest don't argue as well, wasn't it? Yeah. It wasn't like it was such a full bench press push. He's been impressive today, Sweet.
So back in the middle, it's tossed down. Here he is, Butters again. And his trademark clearance can put the footy inside 50 again. Georgiades just late to the ball there, tapped it away. It'll be a stoppage now. Inside 50 for the Power. What do you mean is out from goal? And towards the Richmond cheer squad, the punt road end in his final term. Sweet, can he do it again out of the stoppage? Not quite. His kick is smothered as he tried to go for goal. Lukosius lays the tackle on Bloston, and then Sweet piles in again. And the umpire crosses his arms. It'll be a ball up inside forward 50 for the Power. There is Sweet again. Very involved in the match throughout the afternoon.
Someone needs to get around him that's a midfielder, because if he grabs out of the ruck, he should not get a shot.
He was left out of the team in round 1, Jordan Sweet. Forced his way back in. And he's doing some good things with the opportunity. As the Power force a throw in right forward pocket.
Free kick.
It's holding on. Free kick. And he's going to Willem Drew. Well spotted.
And going back to Sweat, we used to have the same rule with Hawkins. So he used to grab out of the ruck, take the forward 50. We'd actually have the defender right behind him in case he did, so we could tackle him. Yeah. I mean, that's 2 chances now that he's had 2 shots on goal. Should learn from the first one that we need to have a winger in there or someone behind him to make sure he doesn't get a second shot at goal.
Real heart and soul type player, Willem Drew. The engine that keeps this Port Adelaide team moving, and he gets a bit of reward in front of the sticks there. And now Port Adelaide out by 49 points with 4 goals in the space of 5 minutes. 12-11-83 to 4-10-34. 11 and a half minutes played in the fourth term. Let's check in boundary side with Ray.
Rama, Chad, I haven't had to set up on the defensive side at a stoppage inside 50 many times in my career, but I've umpired a few. Grabbing a fistful of jumper.
Yeah.
Not great practice.
No. No, and look, it's an easy call for an umpire.
You need to call him more often, if I'm honest, Ray. I used to get held all the time. I would have had
so you're always telling me.
Yeah, but it was an easy call for the umpire there. You see the holding with Willem Drew. Defenders just got to push their forward towards the boundary in those situations.
Port Adelaide go again here, Ollie Wines. Hazard is taken to the turf and tackle free kick on the way of the Tigers. Holding ball free to Ross, who has it in the centre of the MCG, and he'll put Richmond inside 50 here. It's a little chip kick inside 50. It's a long kick, rather. Fawcett can't mark it. It'll stay in the hands of Richmond. It's McAuliffe who can grab it. His kick is smothered by Berry. Then Prestia grabs it. Hand pass to Grill, just tries to snap this one as he's falling over the boundary line, and it will not even register a score. Another out of bounds on the full. That was a tough kick, though. Port Adelaide headed by 49.
Well, here for disposal number 22 of the afternoon. He has been prolific throughout. 17 intercept possessions for Aliir. He has been commanding back there for Port Adelaide. Lie in the right back pocket. Sends it as far as he can. Easy pickings for Lafau for Richmond between the wing and left half forward. Just floats into mark. Now the set-up kick. And it's 3 Port Adelaide players. They could have killed the contest. Fawcett did the roving, got the handball away. Bergman steps in, tries to tumble it outside the defensive 50. Floston bats it back the other way. 40 metres from home here for the Tigers. Campbell goes through, can't take it. Sonsi tackled once and then by Zaddo. And he's dragged to the turf and we'll have a ball up 40 metres out from the Tigers' goal. They trail by 49 points. It's the biggest gap we've had in the game. 13 minutes gone in the last.
Sweet again goes after it. He's close to the boundary line, and this will be a throw-in inside forward 50 for the Power. Adelaide won the last 5 matches between these two sides by an average of 37 points. And now 49 points ahead. So they head towards a 6th consecutive win. Flicked in. It's Sweet in the front position, pushes it down to Burgoyne. He clears the footy out, and it'll be marked though by Lafau. And chips it across to Miller. He goes and retreats, goes backwards, and Miller will mark centre wing below the Shane Warne stand. All the floodlights on at the MCG. Now, that was a flat, shocking kick, really.
Thank you.
I don't think I have another word for it.
I don't think the other words for it you could say in this time slot loss, to be fair.
I paused for a second.
Something that ends in Hausen, I think, may have been said in these commentary boxes once upon a time to describe that.
It was a Wines intercept.
As Lukosius kicks up the line, and that's a nice mark for Campbell Gray, who's had his moments today in this Richmond team, battling away in defence. Short, broad, Trainer, all by foot across half-back for Richmond. He copters one out toward McAuliffe on the wing. Kane McAuliffe gets onto his left boot, sends it to the edge of the 50, and Lockie Jones, like he was leading up as a forward, came up the footy and just hugged it to his chest. He wasn't letting that ball go. Chips it short to Burn-Jones, and Port Adelaide are just in easy ball control mode now. 49 points to the good. Halfway through this final term, looking for their second win of the season. They're going to consign Richmond to 0-4. It's their second or their first of 2 games at the MCG as well this season, Port Adelaide. So they're not going to play a lot here often. Only played here the once last year. As Berry takes the mark, they'll be relieved to come away with a victory.
Chip from Berry to Evans as the crowd's posted at 34,471. It's beautiful Easter Saturday in Melbourne. Evans flares it across towards Aaliyah. Fawcett does well to just punch it away and try and get it away from Aaliyah. He can't take the mark, goes back and can pick it up, just gets a hand pass away. Campbell tries to grab it, he spills it. Lukosius is in there, so Campbell's tackling him. Lukosius is dispossessed in the end. Fall has a go at it, his hand passes away to Campbell. It's all very messy. A little chip kick goes towards Grill. That will be paid 15. Umpire will give him the benefit of the doubt as the chip kick comes to Trainer.
Well, he's still cramping up at half back as well.
Fair enough.
Trainer from almost the centre of the MCG. Inside forward 50 here for the Tigers. Fawcett at front position. Couldn't take down the mark. Lies there for the Power. He gets taken down in the tackle by Ross. That was good intent. Free kick to Richmond inside their forward 50. Ross will have a shot from about 40 metres out, just left of centre.
They have tackled well today. They're comfortably leading the tackle count, the Tigers, 53 to 37. It's just the polish is not there.
And it's a good sign and a bad sign. It means you don't have the ball.
Nah.
So it's like you can take whichever way you want to spin that narrative.
So Ross comes in, puts this one towards the goal, and it's across to the right-hand side. It's another minor score for the Tigers. Margin now 48 points to the good of Port Adelaide.
Hasn't been a good day in front of the sticks at all for Richmond. 4-11 plus quite a few out of bounds on the full. Kick in from fullback for the Tigers. McAuliffe takes possession to Brown of Richmond. Kicks to full forward. Flying in from the back was Fall. Burn-Jones is there at the fall. And clears the defensive 50 to Farrell at left half back. He pokes it short for Butters. So much made about this man is going to be playing his footy next season. And he's doing things like that. There'll be clubs lining up to try and take his services as he spins and then wheels away from half back. Finds Richards with a lofted pass into the centre of the ground. He now flares it wide for Evans. Infield to Light. First chance at the MCG for Josh Light. Had a Melbourne southeastern suburb. Picked up in the mid-season draft last year from the Southern Footy League where he was playing for Cheltenham. Sweet kicks to half forward. Good work from Gray to run that down. Knocked it away from Ware and then flipped out of the hands by Berry. Gray might have been held off it by Durden. No free kick for that. The locals are restless and Kane Farrell gets picked off again. Didn't hear the footsteps of McAuliffe.
He's going to be sore tomorrow. He's had about 3 or 4 big hits.
He got absolutely caned there, and Jack Ross is away for the Tigers.
Someone's already yellow carded you on the text line, Joel. You might be getting close to a red now.
I'll see myself out, Ross.
Just like Short's kick from 70 metres out from Richmond's goal, it goes straight over and out of bounds on the full.
I thought I was just responding to Chad before. He said Steely resolve. I thought we had a bit of a thing going. I went by myself and got left alone. That's okay.
Stop blaming things, your life choices on other people, Joel. Burn-Jones takes the kick in from the free and Short punches the ball away. Does well to try and make up for his mistake. The hand pass comes out to Ross. Hand passes it to Grill. He spins around and puts it on his boot inside 50. Right. It was a hurried kick and Evans is back there for the power to intercept it.
Another mid-season draft success story, Logan Evans. He shoots it into the middle of the ground for Richards. They've had just a little bit more of the footy today. The Power, 16 more marks overall though. They've been able to control the ball when they've needed to. Richards for Watkins. And that's a poor kick in the end and well read by Gray. And it takes the mark in front of Whitlock. Whitlock might be reaching for his hamstring there as well. Hopefully that's just a cramp for Jack Whitlock as he looks like he's going to be okay to continue. Gray did want to move it on, but ball is going to be brought back.
And you look at the overall numbers, Joel. Richmond have had more inside 50s, 47 to 43. But it's the difference in the game. It's the efficiency of Port Adelaide going forward, hitting targets inside forward 50, a bit more movement in their forward line. Richmond's forward line is still a very much work in progress at the moment.
Ray with a little chip to Sonzi, who kicks it down towards the foul, who does hold on to the mark in the end. Hasn't had a prolific day, McCulty Lafau. Puts this one on his boot. It'll go just inside forward 50 for the Tigers. No mark can be taken by Sweet. Brought it down to ground. Laywell's there who can pick it up. Hand pass to Morris Rioli. Hand passes it away across to Banks, who puts this one through from point blank range. And Sam Banks kicks his first goal for the year. In the late stages of this match, he breaks the run of 4 consecutive Port Adelaide goals. And that's Richmond 5-11-41. Port Adelaide 12-11-83. Port Adelaide ahead by 42 points. Just ticked into time on in this fourth quarter. 34,471 in attendance.
Yeah, a bit of a consolation prize. I mean, it was a drop mark from Sweet there. And again, it was a shallow entry. So I would say a lot of their goals that they're getting from not the right way, I would say. So there's not signs that I would say, oh, this is great ball movement. They're finally getting reward for effort. This is definitely what we want to see when they're up and going. You can see the signs. Yep. Rama, I'm not sure we've seen the signs for Richmond of like how they want to play when they do become a contending side.
Well, last year they were playing with so much speed on the ball at all occasions. That's not there this year at the moment. They're a very slow team. Their skills are, leaving a lot to be desired at the moment. So it's sort of, I think they're searching for their identity really early in the early part of the season.
I said their forward line's a work in progress. It feels like every line a work in progress at the moment for the Tigers. And Port Adelaide, for whatever the margin is at 42 points, they feel a little bit the same, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. Well, their back line, Broad, Miller, Vloston, so, that's experience there.
Yeah, and Short. They both haven't had their best kicking shoes and decision-making on today, which they're the ones that you kind of rely on. Especially Short and Prestia. I feel like them two have not quite been themselves today.
Brilliant work from Georgiades off the free kick. It bobbled around at half forward for a long time. Power finally worked it inside the forward 50. Lukosius had kicked it 40 metres across goal to try and set something up there for Ewan McKinlay. He's gone from 20 out in the right forward pocket to a throw in 30 out in the left forward pocket.
I've seen it all. They look like a backman's kick, like a switch.
Yeah. I genuinely had the thought then, are they at the wrong end of the ground? Like, have I got this wrong? But Port Adelaide are inside forward 50.
That's where we'll have a ball up. Throw-in, rather. And it comes. Taranto's chasing after it very close to the boundary line. Butters, can he snap from the boundary? No. Gets to the goal square and Miller will mark. So Miller in the goal square. Full back for Richmond. Pops it out close to the boundary at right half back, but it is a mark taken by Green. He holds on to it and can just chip it across to Banks. Most recent goal kicker of the match so far. He chips it inboard to Samson Ryan. He holds his position in the centre of the ground. And hand passes back to Banks, who's tried hard across today for the Tigers. Kicks out wide towards Sonzi. He worked it onto the southern wing of the G. Chips it down towards Seth Campbell. There's still a couple of kicks from goal for the Tigers. A little flat kick goes inside 50 and it works for Lawler. It's the opportunity of Taranto there as well, but it's Lawler that marks. And he'll have a shot at goal about 45 metres out, about a 45-degree angle as well.
Well, coming up for his 11th possession in this game, Sam Lawler. So it's sort of another one of those, not sure what type of game it is, really.
He shows signs. Like if he kicks this, it'll be 11-2. So as a forward, that's a pretty serviceable day considering the entries that they've had.
Sam Lawler to give Richmond 2 late goals in this match. He does. He goals and he's got 2. And it's a couple in a row very late for the Tigers when they're out of this match. It's 36 points now, Port Adelaide's advantage, which is around the average margin they've been winning these contests by recently. Port 12-11-83, Richmond 6-11-47. 24 minutes played in this final term. Your ABC sport experts, Adam Ramanauskas and Chad Wingard.
And I spoke about the last play with when Sweet drops that mark. This is definitely the type of brand that Richmond want to see. Yeah. They definitely hit their kicks inside, changing angles, going to the far side, getting speed on the ball, lowering their eyes inside forward 50 and hitting a lead. We haven't seen that at all today, to be honest. We've seen that last kick inside forward 50, either up in a chimney or down Aliali's to his advantage. So that's what we want to see more of. If you miss that kick, that is fine. At least you're actually playing the right way. So that's, I suppose, an improvement there. It's a bit too late for this game, but hopefully I can drag it into the next.
Wingard, Adam Ramanauskas with you on ABC Sport. Port Adelaide with the clearance. Richards to Watkins. Just knocks his kick up toward half forward. Taken away by the Tigers and Prestia. He flares it up toward the wing. Steely Green marks. Hasn't had the scoreboard impact that he did last week. Nice little fake inside. Darcy Byrne-Jones there to get it moving. Inside the arc for Richmond and a good mark taken by Ross. 48 metres out. Jack Ross. Rolls around onto his right boot. Unloads from the 50. And just misses narrow. One behind to the left. 6-12-48 to 12-11-83. There's just over 2 minutes to play in this one at the MCG. We'll get you some reaction from the rooms. And then, of course, West Coast Sydney coming up a little bit later on this evening.
As Logan Evans brings Port Adelaide in. Chip kick out to Jones. Left back pocket for Port Adelaide. He'll go long down the members' wing. He'll be picked off, though, by Richmond here as Loston takes it, hand passes it back to Prestia. He wants to retreat further still. It was a slightly risky kick. Gray marks ahead of Lukosius, who stands his ground, and then Gray with a bit of an average hand pass towards Brown. He can't quite pick it up on the volley. Ware's in there for Port Adelaide. He spins around, doesn't know which direction he wants to go in, and in the end kicks it towards Richards, who chips it towards Durden. In the centre of the MCG, Port Adelaide looking for another one late. Who'll go inside 50. Jason Horne-Francis, a good lead, good timing, and clunks the mark.
And that's great patience there from Port Adelaide. You think about, he allowed Jason Horne-Francis to obviously do the work, and he actually pointed exactly where he wanted that ball. So he opened up the space, got behind his defender, so his defender can't look at him and the ball. So that's great craft if you're a forward. Yeah. And again, just connected with the kicker. Put it into space, allowed him to run and jump at it. Just released at the right time. Like I said, that's just beautiful footy.
And Francis will come from a fairly long run-up as well for his kick at goal from about 35 metres out, 45-degree angle. Just walks his steps initially and then starts jogging to put through his second for the power. The kick is good. And Horne-Francis gets another one late for Port Adelaide, just so they can enjoy the match. Those that have travelled here, you can't hear too many of them, but we've got a little cheer squad sitting out on the Ponsford stand, under the Ponsford stand rather, who enjoyed that one. 13-11-89, Richmond 6-12-48. 27 minutes played in this final term. Not long left to go in this match, and then we'll be heading to West Coast and Sydney. It's Saturday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
He's just a tricky matchup, Horne-Francis, for any defence in the competition, because he can mark it obviously so well above his head. He can get it at ground level. He can apply pressure. So I like the role of what he had today. He's had 18 possessions, 2 goals, a couple of score involvements. So not a huge possession game, but it's scoreboard impact.
And he can do that in bundles. Jason Horne-Francis butters with another clearance. Up to Drew, to Farrell, who launches it a mile inside the forward 50. Over the back there of Horne-Francis. Lukosius running into the pocket. Hooks the handball over his head toward the Hornet. Durden lays the tackle inside forward 50 for Port. Lukosius rips it away. Richards to Ware, off a couple of steps. Hooks it around and hits the top of the right-hand goalpost. Makes it a 7 straight kick ball game. 42 points the margin, 29 minutes played in this final quarter.
Tell you what, Port Adelaide centre bounce is starting to look really dangerous. The way that they're getting out front of stoppages, the shaping, the handballing, William Drew just the release, like they're looking like their best at the moment.
Boston with a little kick in across to Taranto, who moves it to Banks, who just chips it down to Lawler, right in front of the two teams in their interchange gates. As the siren sounds and Port Adelaide win their 6th consecutive win against the Tigers. Well, the Tigers slumped to 0-4 to start the season. Still without a win in 2026, but it is Port Adelaide winners by 42 points. An ordinary first term in which only 1 goal was scored, but it was Port Adelaide that got that one. They progressed with the first 5 consecutive goals of the match. They led by 11 points at quarter time. It was 15 points at half time, but there was a little bit of Maurice Rioli magic with a mark and a goal in the second quarter that sparked something for the Tigers as they kicked 3 in a row before Port Adelaide pushed out to 27 points for good at the end of the third term, finally winning by 42 points. It was a big margin in the end. Richmond had their chances, but it is Port Adelaide winners by 42. So Richmond will now trudge off the ground after their 3rd consecutive big loss. Well, for Port Adelaide, it's their 2nd win of the season after they defeated Essendon by 63 points a couple of weeks ago. The goal kickers across this afternoon for Port Adelaide, there are a couple of multiple goal kickers in Jason Horne-Francis, Mitch Georgiadis, Jack Whitlock, and then singles to Ware, Lukosius, Sweet, Drew and Joe Richards as well. And then for Richmond, Fawcett had a couple of almost moments as well where he popped some of his shots out on the full. Sam Lawler kicked 2, and then it was Sam Banks and Maurice Rioli with goals. So just the 6 on the board for Richmond, even though they had some times throughout that match where they were peppering him and threatened to fight back and dwindle the margin back to single figures. But it is Port Adelaide by 42 points, 13-12-90, Richmond 6-12-48 in front of 34,471. So we'll head down, we'll get the winners' songs with Ray Chamberlain and some reaction. West Coast and Sydney still to come. Saturday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. But first, the initial thoughts on the match from Chad Wingard and Adam Ramanaskas. It had some good moments, but it wasn't the prettiest match that we've seen.
It definitely wasn't the prettiest match, that's for sure. I thought momentum swung to both sides at different stages of the game. I thought Richmond had it definitely on their terms in the third quarter and actually just didn't I suppose, give themselves a chance by just missing all their shots on goal. And Port Adelaide, yes, they came home with a wet sail, but they've still got a lot to learn, a lot to, I suppose, improve on if they're going to compete with some of the better sides this year. I think some of their polish, especially with kicking into the corridor or shaping. I mean, they only just got on top in their clearances in that last quarter, and they centre bounce. Which, look at that. If you look at that just that last quarter, you'd say Port Adelaide look like a top side, but they can't sustain it for the 4 quarters. Richmond, for me, I feel like they not go back to the drawing board, but I feel like we need to find out what their DNA is. And we spoke about it. We said we're not sure what kind of brand of footy they're going to play when they are contending. And I'd rather see them fail at trying to do the brand rather than trying to save games or trying to stop the bleeding, if you would. So for me, if I'm a Richmond fan, I want to see signs. I just want to see signs. Yes, young players, I want to see them develop, but I just want to see the brand of footy that we're going to stick to. And if you look at the best teams at the moment, it's all about speed, pace, getting outside, winning the contested, putting pressure on. And I think they definitely, obviously, won the pressure battle. They definitely can tackle. Can they get their disposal efficiency up enough and their kicking efficiency up enough to get outside and around some teams? That's probably my next question. I think their forward line without Lynch there is definitely a huge work in progress, in which we spoke about. I think you just don't realise the importance of having a key forward that can actually take away someone like Alir. So that's the learning for Richmond. And Port Adelaide, I think, again, it's not quite... I still don't know where they sit, if I'm being honest.
Yep. That's, I think, what we were really keen to find out, given the results across this season so far. But I know what you mean. We're almost no closer. Their best was good.
Yeah.
And there were moments that, left more.
Because their best players looked elite in that last quarter. But then you just think, where was that for the first half or even the other games that we've seen this year? Like, Butters stood up when it mattered. Alir, when the game's on his terms, he's looked really good. But he does look nervous when the ball's on the ground or when his player can get in good position. So you just see when the game's on their terms, they look great. And that's why I don't call them front runners, but I just call them, when they feel comfortable, they look good. Yeah. But when they're uncomfortable, that's when they get tested, and that's where I'm just not sure where they're at. Because you will get tested against the best sides.
I'll start with Richmond. It was a game of errors, I think, for Richmond today. They've had 46 inside 50, so 4 more than Port Adelaide. Now, okay, I understand Tom Lynch is out of the team, so he's the big key forward, but they need more players that compete inside their 450. Fawcett competed for a little small period there for the second quarter, but Alir's had 18 intercept possessions for the game. Darcy Burn-Jones has had 26 possessions. Kane Farrell's had 24 possessions. So big numbers for their backline players. So that's a worrying sign for me for the Tigers.
Port Adelaide winners by 42 points. We can join them in the winners' rooms as they start filing past you. Ray Chamberlain.
Yeah, they're very happy rooms down here. 4 points is always fantastic feeling, no matter how it looked out there, and no exception today. Plenty of Port fans down here making lots of noise, which is great.
So now down, about to sing the song for their second time this season. Right in front of you, Raymond Shadow might be making his way into the centre of the circle. Score out of 10 for that edition of the song.
Exactly what I was
just thinking. I've sang this song plenty of times. That was definitely out of tune or was sped up. It just did not feel like that was in sync. If it was Australian Idol, they're not getting through.
No, that's got to be like a 3 as a ceiling for that. That was pretty ordinary. That was business-like. Both the victory and the song in the rooms at the end of it. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Mitch Zaddo wasn't entertaining the sports drink shower either. Maybe after Alex Davies a couple of weeks ago, he hit Zeke Hewlin in the face with the water bottle. They're all gone a bit gun-shy to stand in that centre circle. In contrast, the Richmond rooms, as we get a look in there, of course, Disappointed with coming off that loss. For Port, though, you look at the start of the season, North Melbourne, Essendon, West Coast and Richmond, they're probably thinking, well, 3-1 would be nice out of that.
Yeah.
They end up at 2-2 with a couple of uneven performances, but, they've at least got 2 wins on the board.
Oh, look, I think their best football looks okay. When Zach Butters got moving, particularly in that second half, he's obviously one of the clear stars of the competition, but you sort of then throw in Lukosius, who's a wild card to me, and how he plays. Mitch Georgiades, has a little purple patch in the second quarter where he's able to kick a couple of goals. I've mentioned Aaliyah, Kane Farrell, Bergman, those guys, how strong they are in defence. I think their football looks okay, but at the same time, we don't see enough of their best football consistently in the game. Like even today, against a Richmond side that I thought were well beaten, but at the same time, we just don't see it on a consistent basis for Port where they can really rip the game open apart and drive it in. But, they come to Melbourne, they win comfortably, and off they go and eat some chocolate Easter eggs now.
The thoughts of Adam Ramanassis and Chad Wingard, our ABC sport experts, Joel Peterson and Lauren Borden calling the action. Ray Chamberlain's in the Port Adelaide victorious rooms for us, winners by 42 points. Down to you, Ray.
Thanks very much, Loz. I'm fortunate enough to be down here with old Thunder leg over here, Kane Farrell, who racked them up down back. Kane, congratulations on the victory today. 2-2, you square the ledger. Of all the stats, the scoreboard matters most. What are your reflections, mate?
It's just good to get back on the winning board, back to consistent footy. I felt like we brought that for 4 quarters today, which is good to see after last week. Obviously, we had a couple of down quarters in that, so our focus this week was consistency, and we brought that today.
They're a pretty plucky group. They certainly took it up to, particularly at stoppage and clearance, I reckon. I felt they had the upper hand there, but your boys down back, you kept them to a very low score. That back 6, tell me a bit about them.
We're young and we're quite new to each other at the moment. We've had a few injuries and that, so we've had to move some magnets. We had Darcy back again today, which was good. We're all still learning how each other plays the game, and we're learning on the fly, really. So at the moment, we're gelling pretty well, and you can see today that we're learning on the go, and it's working pretty well.
Your own performance, you had a heap of it today. What I did notice, mate, you need to get the blinkers, the rear view mirror on. You got barreled a couple of times. How's the rig?
Nah, I'm all right. So I think it was Rioli got me a couple of times. So he makes you earn it, but a bit more around the back of my ears at the moment.
Guys upstairs, anyone got a question that they'd like to ask for Kane?
Well, more importantly, Kane, how's the ankle? That was a nasty roll of that ankle just before half time.
It's numb at the moment. A few jabs in it at half time got me through, but we'll see how we go. But feels all right at the moment.
So we was talking obviously a lot up here during your best passages of play look good enough. It's just doing that on a consistent basis throughout a game where I think obviously that's the way Port Adelaide want to play. But in terms of the consistency and the inconsistency in the game at the moment, how are you trying to iron that out as a group?
It's just being composed with the ball as well. Like, consistency is built off composure, and for us it's just taking time with the ball and finding those extra marks so then we can get composure on the ball and play a consistent brand of footy and try to light it up when we get going. So for us, really, it's just focusing on see it, hit it, style of footy, and play off the ball then.
So obviously you had Ken as a coach for a long time. You've got Josh Carr now as a coach. Josh was there as an assistant coach last year also. How different is the style of play that Josh wants you to go after? Is it completely different, or is it a similar model to Ken?
There's a little bit that's different. He's kept it as similar-ish to Kenny, obviously because that's what we've known over the last 10 years, but he's also brought in his own little flair, which has been brilliant for us. A bit of freedom on offence and just play the game, really. So we're still obviously learning a bit of teething at the moment, but it's coming together well.
Kane, Chad Wingard here, mate. Congrats on the game. I saw you get a few hits. I just wanted to point out Aaliyah, how important was he for you guys today? He had 18 intercept possessions, and when you guys, I feel like, get it, I suppose, the game in the way you want to play, you get him down the line and just like a real goalkeeper back there for you guys.
Yeah, definitely. He's been huge for us in all the games that we've played. So for us, really, it's just us doing our work on the ground so he can do his work in the air, because when he's on, he's one of the best key backs in the whole competition, and if we can make that a threat for us and a threat for him. So for us, really, it's just backing him in, because when he's on, he's unbeatable at the moment. So for us, it's just keeping that keeping that going for him and helping him out in the air.
Yeah, and probably just another one. You're speaking about how you want to move the ball. You were amazing today, you and Lukosius as well, getting the long, deep kicks and changing angles. What's, I suppose, the mode that you are trying to achieve the most? You're trying to get around from the back half, you're trying to find space, you're going through the corridor a little bit more with kick-ins. What's kind of been the mode that's a little bit different from what Kenny would have done?
A bit of freedom, just playing the game of how the game's unfolding. So there's no set thing of how you want to move the ball. It's not you stand here, you stand there. It's kind of a bit of freedom in it, and it really just opens the game up for us to have multiple scoring options going forward.
Kane Farrell with us in the Port Adelaide rooms after they beat Richmond today at the MCG. Kane, we speak about Jack Lukosius and what a prodigious kicker the footy he is. You are as well. Do you sort of enjoy the craft that, working with someone like Jack when, that's a facet of the game that you really enjoy, sort of watching him and learning a few tricks off him as well?
Yeah, definitely. It's pretty fun at training. You can have a few kickoffs and that. Now we got Stuart Dew back, which is the OG left footer. So, we have a bit of fun with it. And on his day, he's probably got me. So, I'm just working on a bit of accuracy at the moment. I think I was 2 points today, so maybe through the big sticks next time.
You're a Castlemaine boy, Kane. You got a bit of family in the rooms today?
Yeah, I got about 6 of them today. So, it'd be nice. I'll head back home for a couple of days now and see the family over Easter, so looking forward to that.
As people won't know, that so Kane's brother Brody is one of the best country footballers going around. Absolute champion, won a Bendigo League best and fairest, and O&M best and fairest, a GV best and fairest. I remember you, Kane, at Interleague training in Bendigo, freezing nights in Castlemaine, kicking torps, both feet, 60 out, kicking torps from fullback in Pioneers under-18 footy. Are you going to try and revive the barrel a few times this season, Faz?
I've been trying to work on it at training. I've got onto a couple, but it's not in my booklet yet to do game day. I'm not that confident with it, so if it doesn't come off, it might look pretty bad.
Do you think you have the licence to do it?
Potentially one day, but I'll work on that with Curry.
Just getting a wind up here, guys, but the most important question that no one's asked Kane today, and I've been asked from another section of the Port Adelaide crew, is will Willem Drew be a groomsman at your wedding?
Have not decided that yet, but we'll keep that on the wraps.
Yet to be determined. Thanks very much for your time today, Kane, and congratulations on the victory, mate.
Appreciate that, guys. Thank you.
Kane Farrell there with Ray Chamberlain down in the room.
I was just going to ask him, did he mean the pass inside forward 50 in the first quarter as well? I think the answer is absolutely.
The reasonably intentional pass.
Reasonably intentional. I wanted a definitive answer from the man himself as to how he went with that one.
I also wanted to check in if he needs a president of his fan club.
I think I've got the position. I'm not sure there's too many contenders that are going to try and outvote me as well, Loz. I've got the full support of the board in the fan club.
So Kane Farrell there, 24 disposals, Darcy Byrne-Jones with 26, and Zach Butters, the top disposal getter on the ground with 30 touches, and was very important in that last term. 13-12-90, Port Adelaide have defeated Richmond 6-12-48. They were 42-point victors here at the MCG in front of 34,471 people. Western Australia, if you're listening in the West, you'll be heading to West Coast and Sydney in just a moment's time. Everyone else will be joining them in about half an hour or so. We'll wrap up this match and look ahead to that match as well and get you to the West. But for those listening in Western Australia, you're heading across to Perth Stadium. Your call team, Clint Wilden, Mitch Turner, Sharad Wallingham, Shane Woden and Bridget Lacey on the boundary. For those still staying with us, I want to look at Richmond a little bit. And we mentioned, and Chad, you mentioned Earlier being under pressure at times. There was a time when he socketed it off the ground in the middle of defensive 50, and he also had another time where he just threw it on his boot, it became smothered. So there was a lot of intent from Richmond players, and I think that's something that they've showed and that they can probably be admired for. They couldn't get the goals on the board, but you look at someone like a Banks who tried his heart out all day.
Yep, Banks is super impressive. I thought Morris Rioli definitely, there's got guys there that have been, you can see, and even Lawler, I know you look at his numbers, he had, I think, 12 touches and 2 goals, which is a very good game. It's for a small forward. For the role that he's been asked to play, he's excelling at. Unfortunately, once they all get better, as a team gets better, their team stats and their stats are just going to look a lot better. But again, for me, it's about those small little nuggets, which players are improving each week. And like I said, there's a part to me that's individual improvement, but the part that I want to see if you're a Richmond faithful is the way that they are playing and the way that they're trying to build this brand. So I think, yes, they're starting to get games into players that can obviously play at this level and they are going to improve. But I think it's still a cross for me. What I'm seeing, I just don't think that's going to contend with the best, or I haven't seen a definitive way which they're going to play. Because not many teams, if you look at teams that come against Geelong, if you give up a spare or two spares, you're not going to be in the game. Like, you're not going to just not be in the game. You're going to get smashed.
And that's where they can't get it out of the back half.
Exactly right. No matter how good you are, you can't ask 3 or 4 forwards to get it done against the best backs in the competition. Yes, you can give up one potentially, and in certain parts of the ground if it's in your defensive 50, but around the ground you just can't allow Lear or a dominant backman to dictate that like he did today.
Yeah, and that's the challenge that they've got without Tom Lynch as a key forward. It's very hard to rely on young, inexperienced key forwards to control a forward line. So down back, as I mentioned, they've got some experience. Властен, Short, Broad, Miller. So, 4 relatively experienced players. But you look at that forward line today, there's just simply no experience, no leaders there.
Set them up for success. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. If I'm a young forward and being asked to lock down that kind of defender when you're outnumbered 1 or 2 every single contest, it's impossible. That's why I was like, well, if I see Richmond today say, okay, we're not quite good enough on paper, 22 versus 22, but we're going to make sure that we're in the contest, we're going to even the numbers, and if we're not good enough, we're not good enough. But this is the brand of footy that we're going to play. That's what I would like to see if I was a supporter. Okay, we're not good enough right now, but we're going to learn from being one-on-one, and we're going to learn this brand of footy in this way that we're going to play, because in 2-3 years' time, we're going to play that same brand, because I can't imagine the brand that they're putting out on display the first 4 rounds, that can't be what they're trying to achieve in the next 3 years. Like, if that is, then I'm actually more concerned about what they're actually building.
The other concern is speed through the middle of the ground. Mm-hmm. You look at their midfields. Hopper is certainly not quick. Prestia is certainly not quick. Taranto is not quick. Ross is not quick. At stages today when Butters was able to get the ball, whether it was centre bounce, whether it was cross half back, no one was getting near him. Nah. There was no pressure. No one was going to run him down. The only player on the ground that was going to run Zach Butters down was Maurice Rioli. He was coming from 50 metres away.
And the game's changed that way, hasn't it?
So I think they need to unearth that quicker midfielder. Now, who that is or what that is, I don't know. I don't know if that player is necessarily on their list right now, but they need to find speed in the middle of the ground.
It doesn't necessarily feel like it. I mean, Sam Cumming, who is coming back from that shoulder injury, there's big raps on him. Yep. Probably not quite that inside midfielder yet. Houghton's the other one that's really exciting. Josh Smiley's a powerful player, but he's not a quick player. He's a big, 196.